You're listening to Tuned In with Raph and Nick Webb.
Like a year or two ago.
Oh, the show. Were you there?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because Nick performed.
Oh, my God, you did.
So,
oh, wait,
I don't know
hold
if
on.
you remembered.
I remember you now. I completely forgot.
That's where I met your sister Crystal and your
right.
mum.
And my mum.
And your mum was the first person to take a photo with me ever.
My
I don't know
mum
if you remember. There was like a
loves
little
you.
camera.
She's going to kill me now that I didn't bring her with me because she's like such a big fan. She always shows me your videos.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I didn't put two and two together until right now. You get used to me. I'm
Bro,
kind of like a
I
goldfish.
look different though,
You're
to be
famous.
You don't look different. No, you look the same. It's just me. It's like, you know when you see people in different environments?
Okay,
And then you
yeah.
need like the little thing that clicks like, oh yeah, that's the person you were with or that's the place it was at.
Yeah.
You know? So I apologize. I didn't
No,
mean
no.
it.
Nah,
Yeah.
it's not on you.
No.
I'm the
Yeah.
worst at that as well.
Yeah.
I suck.
We always
So
say
bad.
to each other, even we have like signals sometimes where if
Yeah.
I remember someone,
Yeah.
I'll say a signal so I can bring up a name or something because we always forget.
Yeah.
And we'll,
Like, just because we're together so much, like doing music at church, like
Yeah.
everywhere.
I'm the same with my sisters. Like they
You need it,
always
right?
will give me a little hint because they know I'm the most forgetful one. So like even like from now on, I never say nice to meet you. I always say good to see you because
Yeah.
smart.
because
Yeah.
I'm going to
like,
integrate that one.
you know what I mean? That's like take that down.
But
Note
then
that down.
people like kind of pick up on it. Like
Do-
if you start saying it all the time, I've found like I even notice myself, like because I do it all the time as well. And people will be like, "Nice to meet you," or I'll go like, "Hey, good to see you,"
Mm-hmm.
and they'll be like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and I'm like, "He knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like he knows I'm just like
well,
pulling
at
this
least
out."
they're giving you a little hint. They're like, we've never met.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Don't worry. You didn't forget me.
Which makes me feel a bit better
Mm-hmm.
because usually I'm like, "Oh, I've definitely met this guy like 3 times and I
Oh
can't
my
remember
God.
his name."
That's the worst.
But
The
it
worst is when you've met them like more than once. For sure.
I had someone that got really angry at me the
Yeah.
other week. I'm
Are
not
you
going to say his
serious?
name, yeah, but we were at an event
I was laughing so hard.
and
Oh no.
and like I went to save Nick, and then he like said to Nick, "Bro, Raph didn't remember my name," like, and I was
Are you
just
serious?
Like, oh.
Yeah,
he,
it was
he like he said to me, he's like, "Oi, this is my name. Don't forget it or I'll kill you." And I was
my
like, "Oh,
God.
okay, sorry, bro."
Like, I would just be like, no, I'm definitely going to forget it. Like, but don't take it personally.
I had to put him in my contacts so
my
that I
God.
didn't forget because I was like actually
Yeah.
scared. I was like, "Bro, I'm going to offend this kid if I do it."
Like, anytime I save someone's contact in my phone, I have to put a little keyword after it. So it reminds me, like, where I met them. You know, I can't just write John. Like, no. It needs to be like, John from the coffee shop, da-da-da-da. Like, it has to be.
That's smart.
Yeah.
See,
It's
I'm
like
the
there's a whole
opposite.
paragraph going on in my contacts.
I don't save numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nick's, yeah.
I don't save numbers.
Okay, well, that's just another level then.
Someone will be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
what's
that's on him
I'll
at
I'll
that
be
point.
like, "Oh, that's 789,"
Oh.
and then they'll be like, "How did you know the last 3 digits of my number?" And I was like, "Oh, cause that's."
Okay, you have a different level.
I was like, I don't know. And then they're like, "You haven't saved my number, have you?" And then that's the moment I save their number. It's
Oh
not
my
until they
God.
complain about me not saving their
But
number.
the fact that you can remember someone's mobile number is like kind of a
pretty
flex.
crazy.
That's
yeah,
pretty good.
like I'll
Yeah.
know who it is. And if I can't, I just go, "Oh, that's the conversation. Therefore, it's that
Yeah,
person."
fair.
I don't know.
I could
I'm
never.
I'm so lazy like that.
Yeah,
That's
but at
funny.
least you remember though.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I mean, yeah, you're better than me. I can't even remember names, let alone numbers, bro.
So should we get the aircon off?
Oh, yeah.
Are you okay? Temperature.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool.
So Jazzy,
Yes.
welcome to Tuned In. It's
Thank
so
you.
amazing to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It was yeah. It's been about over a year now since first meeting,
Yes.
like we just said. But how's everything been? I think Raph put me back on to the Jazzy verse when he said, "Bro, there was this female artist and she opened for Coldplay and she was amazing." And I was enthralled with the performance. And then my cousin just turned to me and said, "Oi, that's my mate Jazzy." And then
I'm dead.
that's basically how this started, right?
That's
That is
crazy.
actually how this started. I
That's
mean,
crazy.
I definitely recognized you from, of course, On the Block. I think you performed at Spiegel Tent,
I did.
and
yeah.
Nick Marcus opened for you as
Yes.
well. We're good mates with Nick. So, unfortunately, I don't think I actually got to go to that show, but
Yeah.
He
You
spoke-
didn't
he
come to
spoke-
my show. That's so rude.
I know.
And I'm at your podcast.
I am very rude.
Wow.
The fucking piece of shit.
I'm not gonna,
Let me just like rethink that for 1 second. We
I
could
had
have
a,
not brought that
I
up.
had a really good excuse because both you and Nick Marcus were playing. So I definitely would have been there if I could have been there. What can I say?
What can you say?
I don't think Nick was there either. That's what I can say.
Okay, fair.
I was there. I was in the back. What's
Like, I was
Spiegel
there.
tent? I'm sorry. I
I think we've had this
Spiegel
chat.
tent.
Yeah, it's one of the venues where it's like near Fox Studios, near the entertainment quarter.
It is
that
in
correct?
there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
inside. You would
but
know
it-
if you came to
but
the
it-
show.
I do
Fuck,
know.
fair,
I, do know I know nothing. But it only pops up like for a little bit of the year.
Yeah, it's like a pop-up tent and it travels. There's multiple of them. I had no idea. Like, I'd never been to one before. And I was at the entertainment quarter looking for a venue to do my show at. And on that night, I wasn't specifically looking, but I was there for dinner and to watch a movie. And I heard music and I was like, where is that beautiful voice coming from? Like, there was like this female voice and it was the piano. It was like so beautiful. I'm like, where is that? It sounds live. Like, I feel like it's live. And I'm looking around. I can't see anyone performing anywhere. And then I realized that it was playing off the speakers. I'm like, it must be coming from inside that venue. Like, there's no way. Like, I was like studying the whole section I was in. I'm like, that's like the only place it could be is like in there. So then me and my partner, we went to go watch a movie. And then when we finished the movie, I was like, you know what? Let me just like go peek in and see what's going on if they're still there, you know? And we went in and it was literally like, I felt like, what is this place? Like, this is the most beautiful venue I've ever seen. It was like stunning. It was round. It was so unique, like nothing like I'd really seen in Sydney before. And they were having like this open jazz piano night, basically. And it was such a beautiful energy in the room. And I was looking for a venue, like I mentioned, that could also be all ages, so that, because I have a younger audience as well, and I wanted them to come to my first show, and like I didn't want it to be like too hard for parents to get to, or like for really anyone to get to, like the parking and stuff. And entertainment quarter is such a great like place for families to come and anyone to like make their way there. So it was just the perfect situation. It was a really good size as well.
Yeah,
you
actually
know?
picked. I agree with you. Like, it is quite a perfect location. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like when you go, like even to events that are like Horden, or you go to the comedy club.
Yeah.
Like, the car park is massive.
Yeah.
It's decently easy to find. There is some public transport there. Like, it's not the greatest system in the world. It's not like you land right out front.
No.
But it's close enough where it's like even if you have kids, you can still walk there.
Yeah, it's not like you know where we did the other event. It's like downstairs in a bar.
Yeah.
Like, it's a hard. There's no parking on the street, and that's fine for like the type of event that it was and like the audience that it brought in.
Yeah.
You know, those are all kids that are used to like traveling around the city and
Catching
walking around and
Ubers,
catching Ubers and
not
catching
driving.
trains, you know. But I know my audience pretty well, and I
Yeah.
knew that something like that would be a lot like more accessible for them. So that was like a big thing for me. I just
Okay.
felt like it was a blessing, you know, to find it.
Who is Jazzy K's audience?
Oh, that's a
Like
great
who? Yeah.
question.
Who?
Do you listen to my music?
Yes,
Are you
yeah,
my
bro.
audience?
Yeah, bro. Didn't know music.
Like, I'm guessing it's the audience is different to Nick Marcus's though. That's why it's.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Nick Marcus does amazing R&B music, and he has such a beautiful voice. We always listen to his music in like our car and everything. We always got him on. My sister's makeup
Yeah, Nick
studio.
Marcus!
His song is always playing on repeat. We love his music, so he's amazing. I would definitely say I'm a bit more pop. You know, I do like R&B as well, but a bit more pop. So I definitely tend to get a younger audience, and
And you
it's,
pull out more dance moves on stage.
you know, yeah, I'm a bit of a dancer, you know, so I'm learning anyway. But yeah, it's really like whoever connects to it. I do feel like a lot of younger, like young teenage, like preteens, they are like my heart and soul. I love them so much. And I just love the fact that they can connect to my music, and because I know myself and I know that I'll always be like a positive influence for them with the way that I communicate with them and stuff. And I know that they're safe, like listening to my music. So that makes me really happy that they have that connection with me. And, you know, I'm really lucky because I have 2 older sisters, and they taught me so much about like growing up and lessons in life and things to always look out for. And I do feel like it is a little bit of my responsibility to give that information to people as well who don't have that. You know, and a lot of these kids, they don't have like older siblings, or maybe like they're not in the right sort of household to like really teach them the right sort of lessons. So I love the fact that they can like come to me and like see those types of things, like little messages here and there.
Yeah.
That makes me really happy.
What a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
That actually is
Thank
awesome.
you. No, I've always like felt like that's like my purpose with music. So when naturally I saw that sort of audience gravitating to it, that made me feel like I'm doing the right thing, you know? But like then like their older siblings end up loving the music, and then their parents, I have so many parents that are like, you know, stop me when I'm out at the shops and stuff, or like them and their kids will follow me into a store and they're like, Jazzy's here. And I'm like, oh my God. And the cutest thing is when they're like, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, we really want a photo. And I'm like, you're sorry? I'm like, you're making my whole entire life right now. Come right here, take a photo with me.
That's actually awesome.
Yeah, it's really cute. I'm like, I'm more excited than they are, to be honest.
Because they probably view you exactly how they view all the other artists that they love. Which, I mean, you are, right? You're one of the artists that they love. So they probably look at it and because you hear all these stories about like Justin Bieber, like, not that it's Justin Bieber's fault, right? He gets absolutely shredded by the paparazzi.
Yeah.
But it's like, they probably think, oh my gosh, this girl is so fed up of being chased around by the paparazzi. I'm scared to ask her for a photo. Like, I don't want to be another one of those annoying fans.
No,
but little do they
no.
know, it's like, you're just out there, you're loving it.
No,
you want to get
I think
in
they're
the
just
photos.
really sweet, and they just don't want to like, you know, bother me, I guess. Like they think they're bothering my shopping
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something. And I'm like, no, you're making my whole life right now. Come right here. I'm like, can
Shopping?
I get a photo
What
with
shopping?
you? I'm like, everything else is like on the back burner. You know,
You're
you
just
guys
doing
come
laps
first.
around Westfield.
Just like, guys, I am here.
You go for your 7th coffee of the day, looking around. Anyone?
Come to me.
You came for a Red Bull and it's just 4 hours later.
I'm done. That's crazy. No. But yeah, it's really the sweetest thing. It's very rewarding. You know, like what it's like making music, and
100%.
when you get to see like how it really connects with people, that's my favorite part of everything. It makes it so worth it, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, I've completely backed that.
Yeah.
And your music is kind of like you said, it was for kind of teens. But I do feel like it's like, I actually understand Nick's question now, because your music, I feel like anyone can kind of relate to it.
Yeah.
Like, I was listening to one of them today, Unbreak My Heart.
Oh yeah.
Hang on, I'm pretty sure that's your most popular one.
I think so.
'Cause
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
I know you released one later after that last year, but like Unbreak My Heart is like in my head from when you performed it on the block.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, this is like a bloody good song.
It's a mad song.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
So, and like, I'm not a female teen, which I feel like, especially
sure?
considering your
I'm
talent.
joking.
Do you like the song? Yes.
Little bitch.
So like, I feel like your music can relate to like so many different
Thank
people,
you.
like whether they are young, like even people who haven't gone through a heartbreak, I feel like
Yeah.
can listen to that. Like, because I mean, like, you even get that type of music on like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So like, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It's
like,
amazing.
You're doing a really good job.
I thank you so. No, I really appreciate that. I definitely I make my music honestly for me. Like I make music that I like. That's
Yep.
like just like when I'm in the studio, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just thinking, what do I feel? What do I like? What do I feel like writing about? What's inspiring me right now? What sounds do I want to hear? Like that's my main, like that's my number one, you know? So I feel like when you do justice to yourself as an artist, you know, your audience will find you. And I don't go into the studio thinking like, oh, I'm making songs for teenagers or preteens. I go in making it for myself. And I think that it's more like my energy and my self on stage, maybe my performance or my outfits or whatever it is that draws in that sort of audience as
Yep.
well. And they do enjoy the music.
Yeah.
But like you said, like so many different age groups and different, it doesn't really matter where you come from, can relate to the music because it is universal music. It's not like a specific thing.
100%.
Yeah.
I actually, now that we are talking about studios and stuff, I feel like maybe we can talk a little bit about the writing process, your creative process. Because what's your favorite part of being in the studio? Like, do you love the writing? Do you love the recording? Do you just like sitting there and listening to the people make the beats or mix and master? Like, what is it that you love?
Yeah, are you in production as well? Are you?
Vocally, I would say it's like a collaboration, but I like to allow the producer to do their thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think as long as like I always make sure that me and the producer, they understand me, and then I understand them, and I have to have that sort of trust in them that they will bring to the table what they're good at, you know? And I think I don't like to get too involved. I like to let it happen naturally. But at the same time, I am very collaborative. So like once I hear it's coming together, then I'll say, okay, let's like lean it towards this. Or at the beginning of the process, we'll talk a lot about the type of feeling I want the song to feel like, or depending on the story it is. But that depends like what comes first, because sometimes, you know, the lyrics are there first, or sometimes I'll go into the studio and I'll be like, I want to write a song about this message. Like, this is a specific thing that I really want to get across in this song that I do today. And that feels like it has a lot of attitude, or that feels like it has a lot of this. And then that's like, they'll start creating the music and the chord progression, and then I'll start writing to that. And other times, like, you know, I think rarely I go in and there's like a beat that I just write to. That's more so if I'm just at home and I'm bored. Like, I'll just pull up some beats and like write to that.
Yep.
But more than likely, it's like a very collaborative process from the beginning, and we build from there, you know?
Do you write outside? Sorry.
No.
Do you write outside the studio session?
Yeah,
Or do you,
I do.
so do you have like just notes that are sporadic, like they have no sort of form,
Yeah.
and then you try and fit them into beats once they're created, or?
That's a good question. I feel like it is a really big mix for me. Like, I have a lot of notes of like random thoughts and random like paragraphs or things that I think of that like have just like triggered something in my brain, and I have that. But then when I get into a studio session, I really believe in like the magic as well of like being in the room with someone and, you know, letting it kind of be what it is. So if I'm feeling like a different energy on that day, I'm not going to force it to be that idea that I had at home, you know?
100%.
But if I go in and they're like, what are you feeling today? Like, what do you feel like? I'm like, I really feel like I want to write about this. Then we go towards that direction.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of like, you know, the natural like magic that I like to also allow in the room. And I don't like to be too like, it has to be this, it has to be that, you know? Yeah.
Because like Nick and I collaborate quite a lot. I'm not gonna lie, quite a lot. Fuck. Especially because I have started to lean a little bit more towards like producing, and
Yes.
Nick is just the greatest songwriter of all time.
Amazing.
So,
I love
I
it.
struggle
So
so much.
so like, I'm curious to hear like, do you go in? Like, how do you prepare for a session? Because like, I feel like sometimes me and Nick get in there, and even with other people, right? Like sometimes I'll collaborate with other people, and like we'll sit down, and it's like if we're not prepared at all, it's like, oh, let's just like look through what we've got and like see if anything like stands out to us.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like when you're doing it and you're under the pressure of having to perform, like you have to be somewhat prepared.
Yes.
Like this is not, me and Nick go to the studio and hang out and have a chat and a laugh. You're getting paid for the time. Like you have expectations to meet. So how do you prepare for that properly?
I believe that being an artist takes a lot of work, okay? And I'm not someone that was like naturally gifted with singing. I really practiced a lot when I was like younger, and I was like a terrible singer when I was little. And
I do not believe that.
yeah, no, I really was. I had no pitch. I had zero. I was very pitchy.
But when you say younger,
Like literally, I would say until I was like maybe 17.
what the
Like-
Nah, I don't
fuck?
fucking
Nah,
Yeah.
no
buy
chance,
that.
no
I don't
chance.
buy
Even
that
then,
for
I
a
wasn't
single
that great.
second.
No, really, like it took me a long time to
Where's your hat?
find my voice. It's the truth. And I mean, I always had something where I could sing. I just didn't have any proper training to be able to like really train my ear. But my natural voice was always like there, but then I was very pitchy, you know, so I really had to train my ear and find my voice. So that really, really taught me a lot about like the hard work that it takes outside of everything else. You know, that's where it started for me. It was like, okay, I really need to like fix this and I need to get better at this. So I just like, once I locked in, like I was locked in. And I feel like every aspect of being an artist is like that. And it's like that because when it comes time to be in the studio, you can't force it. Like you can't be like, but you got to be ready, and you have to always be ready. You know, you just have to let yourself be an artist and treat yourself like you are an artist that's working full time. As an artist, you have to wake up, you got to exercise, you have to eat healthy, you have to, you know, you're like,
Yeah, I do all
you
of
know,
that.
because like, well, for me, at least as like for the type of performer that I see myself as and where I want to be, you know, it takes a lot of like skill to do that.
Yep.
So a lot of that is just practice and training. And I put myself under that pressure all the time. So that way, when I'm in a studio session or if I have to write a song, it's not something that I'm like only working for that day. Like I'm getting ready for that specific day. It's like, it's like always being prepared all the time. You know, I'm always thinking of new ideas. I'm always like preparing myself for if a performance comes up or if an opportunity comes, you know, so that way I'm not having to be like, okay, I got to get ready for this.
Yep.
You know, but outside of that, I would say just like the simple things, like making sure that I'm well rested or hydrated. And then once I get into the studio, I've just never seen the studio as a place to like hang out. That's never been like in my head ever. Going into a studio is like I'm writing a song. Like I'm not leaving unless like I came to write a song and I'm writing a song. Like I don't think I've ever been to a studio session once I like actually started. Not before that when I would just like peek in and be like, oh my God, what is this magical place? When I actually started, like if I leave a studio session and I'm not happy with where the song is at, like I feel depressed. Like I need to have a good enough product when I leave. That's like always my mindset has always been like that. And when I think of artists, like so many artists, like and rappers, and it's so normal and it creates the best songs, but they go in and they party and stuff. Like it blows my mind because I didn't even know that existed. Like it was never like a thing to me. Like it was never even like real. Like I thought that was fake, but it's so
Music
real.
can be fun. What?
Oh yeah. Like I never thought that. I'm just like, no, like I go in and like I have to like, you know, I go in to write a song. Like it's like, no, it's not like a job, but it's like I'm working, you know?
So how do you get yourself like in the right headspace? Or do you just naturally put yourself in that headspace so often that you can just kind of turn on?
I
You
think,
live the lifestyle.
yeah, I
of the
think
headspace.
I try my best to always, you know, be in that headspace, but sometimes I go in and I feel like shit. Like I don't feel good, you know, and I'm like, maybe I'm really low on energy that day, or I feel really tired, or my throat feels really dry, and it's really frustrating. But like I said, you just have to let go. Like you can't be too hard on yourself. In that moment, once you're in the studio, once you're on stage, you have to let go. Because like then you're just like ruining the magic of it, you know? Yeah, like maybe there's a reason that I don't feel so great today. Like maybe it'll make the vocal take sound better, you know?
Okay.
It's like, you sort of be
You just kind of have to
positive.
lean into whatever it is. Like if you're feeling more sad, then it's like, okay, maybe I'm ready for a sad song today.
Exactly.
Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. And then do you bring, because you said like you have songs written and stuff, do you come into the studio kind of knowing this is what I want to start with and we'll run with it and see? Or do you sometimes come with nothing prepared? You're just like...
Yeah, a mix of both.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes I go in with nothing prepared. It also depends on if I've worked with that specific producer before.
So if you've never worked with them, you probably bring something, right?
If I've never worked with them, I'll always try to like bring in ideas and stuff. So that way we're making the most of that time and really feeling like if we vibe with each other. If I've worked with them before and we have a really great understanding of each other, that's like a whole different story. I know I can go in and trust that whatever I'm feeling can be brought to life. But, you know, before you meet someone, you never know. So like you want to always make sure you can at least lead the vibe. Yeah.
I get you. And
Like I've bricked my entire fucking...
what
What'd you
I don't
say?
know, that answer's so good.
It is a
It's like
good answer.
just being in it all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like I've completely bricked that.
Why is that?
I don't know.
We're
Like
just-
I
Do you
feel
do you feel like you remove yourself from the creative process, like in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, it was just a great answer.
Oh,
It's just
thank
it just like it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I feel like
I think as an artist, it's really hard for us. It's like almost like imposter syndrome. It's really hard for us naturally to not feel like we're artists all the time and to feel like because there's so much stress and there's so much pressure of it all. You feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you're not doing enough or whatever it might be, you know, so that way in everyday life, like you don't let yourself believe you are one, you know, to treat yourself to the standard of one. But I think once you like switch that mindset and you say, no, like I am an artist and this is the world that I'm going to build and this is, you know, what I'm meant to be doing, you give yourself that kind of respect of like, all right, well, if like the biggest label in the world was telling me, hey, you're going to be successful if you do this, this and that, I'm going to tell myself to do it. You know, I'm not going to wait for someone to tell me.
Do you ever feel though, in the same instance, 100% I agree with like all the lifestyle things, for example, but do you ever feel when you're in a situation that sometimes you have to turn off the artist cap in order to completely gain all experience from a situation? So sometimes like having that artistic cap on is good, but sometimes it almost creates a veil or a haze around completely embracing a situation because you're thinking about it from rather than a human lens, almost an artistic lens.
Yeah.
And then I find it harder to translate that experience into a song, funnily enough, because I haven't fully embraced it.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen?
I feel like I know what you're saying. Do you mean like with experiences with people? Like
people,
like things that you want to
special
write about,
moments,
you mean?
things you want to write about, and then your whole time it's churning over in your mind as an artist.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, sometimes I feel like when I get into a situation, I need to turn that off.
Yeah.
Because it's going to influence how I act in that situation, how I'm going to comprehend like certain events from that situation. I have to be able to completely embrace it from all aspects, not just my artistic side.
No,
So-
I get you. I think sometimes for me, as like personally, when I'm going through things in real life, everything is real, but you know, like real life things like with family, friends and stuff, it is hard to just experience it and like live it as a normal person, you know, because you always are thinking, well, at least for me, I'm always thinking of like everything else with the music and this and that. So like you don't really like give yourself the chance to just live and breathe in a moment almost. So that is something very hard to do, to switch off in that way, yes. And you do have to remind yourself like you're also a human being. And if you don't experience things, and that's something like my manager always tells me, like when I was meant to go to LA, I think it was not last year now, the year before, 2023, and I had my bags packed. I was going for 3 months, and the day of my flight, the morning of my flight, my visa got cancelled for America.
No way.
Yeah. My US visa completely just cancelled out of nowhere. Got an email that I'm not allowed in the United States. And I died. I was like, what? And my dad ended up taking me to Lebanon because we had our bags packed.
I wouldn't even complain at that point.
I'd never been to Lebanon before, and
the
I
best
would.
scenario ever.
It is beautiful. It ended up being extremely beautiful. But a really great example of what you're saying is I kind of felt like Hannah Montana in that moment, where like I had a whole suitcase
best of
like
both worlds.
my glittery outfits, and like ready for all my studio sessions, and I had all these plans for my EP. Everything got delayed. Like everything. I'm telling you, so many things went wrong, like against what the plan was meant to be. And I was like on the phone with my manager in Lebanon. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And he's like to me, Jazz, just live. He goes, just enjoy it and experience it and take in everything and learn. And you're going to get so inspired from just being a person and living that. He goes, don't think about anything else. Don't stress about anything else. And in that situation, I really had to learn how to like let go because there were so many things out of my control. And I really learned that no matter how much you plan things ahead or how much high expectations you have, everything can get taken from you in 1 second. Like literally. Like
It's literally in God's hands.
yeah, it's in God's
100%
hands. And if it's not meant to be, it's not going to happen. So I had to accept it and I had to just switch off. And it was the best like experience ever, you know, and nothing bad happened. I'm fine, you know, and it's not the end of the world. The world is not ending.
The EP got delayed a little bit.
Like, oh my God. My EP got delayed a whole year, by the way.
Oh, a whole year?
Yeah, a whole year. Because there was other things that also happened at the exact same time with like things that I probably just shouldn't even talk about.
fair enough.
Of people who were like completely leading me in the wrong direction.
If you want, you can talk about it.
I don't know. It's not that. It is actually good to talk about so that artists like can learn from it as well. But I won't like name specific people.
Yeah,
or
no,
anything.
no.
It was just like
Definitely don't put a hit out on yourself.
I'm
That's
not
not a good
gonna do
idea.
that. But basically, we just started working with a really great PR like company in Australia, and that's like so many things. I feel like I have so many stories of people here that have just like consistently let me down when it comes to that kind of stuff. And we had a whole plan for my EP release, which was based around leaving and going to LA, and we had all these things lined up, and that ended up being like a complete, like, none of that was real. Like, it was completely fake, like all of it. And this person wasn't fake, and this company wasn't fake, but everything they were planning with me was like not ever gonna happen. And they completely ghosted me 3 weeks before the release of my EP.
But how?
Yeah, so it was just like, it was very sad because I was so excited. It was my first EP and everything and all these things. And I'm like, it's fine. We'll just pivot, right? Because I didn't want to release a whole project without a proper plan. And all of the planning I had left in the hands of like who I was collaborating with on the like, you know, the release side. And that just didn't come through. So we just had to say, like, I, you know, obviously spoke to my dad and my team, and we just spoke a lot about it, and we were like, okay, I think it's best that we just hold off on the release than to rush and release my first project without a proper, like, you know, things in place and give it really the launch that it deserves, which at the end of the day, I'm grateful for. You know, I ended up not even going to LA because my visa got cancelled. So like, imagine, you know, we had released it and then I'm in Lebanon with no cell phone service for like 2 weeks.
Shout out Lebanon.
And the electricity turning off every few hours. So, you know, it's in God's hands, 100%. And I was like, it's fine. You know,
It's actually crazy that it's almost like that happened for a reason.
Yeah, 100%. And I learned, you know, I always believe that these bad things happen, but sometimes it just prevents you from something worse in the future. You know, that was probably the worst person to have grabbing like the hands of my project or being involved in anything in the future, you know. It's just so scary because like I see a lot of artists like working with this person, but also like it's fine when they do it. So I don't know what the issue was when it came to my project.
Okay.
So like, I don't know what happened, but it was just, I think
That's
it must have
scary,
been
man.
an outside problem, you know, that happened. But anyways, you know, we move on and we pivot and we
Far out.
replan things.
So after the, I guess, fallout of that whole situation, I'm guessing you did successfully pivot and you ended up working with other people.
Yeah.
PR and stuff like that for that AP? Like, who did you end up working with? Like, anyone?
No, I didn't end up using PR for the EP. I just did my own plan, basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
we
you
obviously, we sent it out to radio, of course, like the songs that we wanted to. But outside of that, like everything was just it was just done like by my own research.
So
I needed time to do that. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't do it all on my own in like 2 weeks.
So you spent basically the next year
Yeah.
just, and what was that like? Like, when you say you did it all yourself,
Yeah.
like, do
Like
you mean like
everything.
100% yourself?
No, like everything.
So like, did you have management at the time?
I have my manager. So my manager is based in LA.
Yep.
And when I'm in LA, it's a very hands-on situation. Like
Yep.
all of my sessions are being set up and everything. And the overall plan is very like full steam ahead.
Yep.
But when I'm in Australia, it's a little bit harder to have that full-time, like every single decision. If I'm like waiting till the next morning for a specific thing, like it can get a little bit tricky. So I tend to do a lot of the groundwork on my own. And then when it comes to like, all right, this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yep, perfect, continue, you know? So it's more of like there's a lot, like even with management, it doesn't matter if I had one here, you still have to do a
Work
lot
yourself, of course.
you know what I mean? It's like, you got to be very proactive.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
So like, how did you find that entire process? Like, how did you find that year? Did you think like, I did a really fantastic job? Like, was it mainly social media based? Like, for like anyone like looking to put out their own EP, and they don't want to go through a PR company in fear maybe of getting blindsided like you did. Like, what is it that you did and that you were successful in that you would recommend for other people to do?
Basically, a lot of networking is like the most important thing, is to be going out and meeting people in the industry. And I know that you guys do that so much. So it's amazing. Yeah. You know,
I'd-
listen, I know it can get like annoying at times, but I always try my best to be out and meeting people and hearing everyone's story, because you never know in the future how you can help that person or how they can help you, you know? It's all, at the end, they were all like doing this together, you know? In like a year, you could be the biggest artist in the world, you know? And I'm like, hey, remember when I came on your podcast? You know what I mean? Which you will be. So like, it's beautiful to...
Let's fucking go.
Jazzy said it, bro.
There is
It's gonna
an
happen.
artist.
It's
There
done.
is an artist that, oh my God, I'm going so off track here. But there's an artist that it's like so beautiful to think about. And he's a rapper, right? And I met him in LA. And I can't even remember how I met him, but he was like doing work for an independent radio station in LA. And I wanted to get on the station. I would always message him and I'd be like, hey, can I come in, blah, 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 whatever. And we're trying to set something up, but we ended up becoming like briefly friends, like not really friends, but like kind of talking or supporting each other, that kind of thing, you know? Yeah. And he was messaging me at one point, like a few years ago, saying like he'd been in the rap game for like 17 years and he's just not feeling inspired anymore. And there's so many things going wrong and this and that. And he can't even go in the studio, and he's just like, now he's doing a lot of like creative work for big companies, which was amazing. And he was kind of pivoting a little bit, right? And then the other day, like that's like my last memory of a conversation I had with this guy. And I was messaging him like, don't worry, like, you know, this time away is going to be good for you. You're going to come back even stronger, this and that. And then I saw him on my like explore page, and he's rapping on Hustle and Flow, and like he's with Eminem, and all his videos are blowing up, and his whole Instagram has like blown up, and he's like huge.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's so amazing. Because I just remembered like the last conversation we had a few years ago was how uninspired he was and how long he'd been in the industry and this and that. And I was like, oh my God, that's so, like, I just love seeing that happen.
That's awesome.
You know, and I love meeting people so I can see that happen. Like I want to meet more people so I can be
So
like,
you can say, I found them
remember
first.
I met you here and now you're here. And I think that's the most beautiful thing in the world. You know, I think it's amazing. It's so inspiring. So definitely meeting people and going out, because all really like PR agencies, some of them are incredible. I haven't had the chance to work with a really amazing one just yet. So hopefully soon. But so far, like, you know, it's just focus on social media, really like do your research about the type of content that you want to do and focus, like go hard with that as well. And, you know, don't be afraid to create your brand. And I think that was the thing that I really, really focused on with the EP launch, is I was like, I really need to solidify my brand and show people the artist that I see myself as, you know, and that takes that you have to not be afraid to be, you know, who you want to be. Yeah. And I saw such a massive shift in my fan base when I really dedicated myself to the brand of the artist that I believe I am, you know, and I saw people really resonate with that. And then like, you know, people were coming to my first concert like dressed like me, or like little things, you know what I mean? And it's like you put like the pink and the blue lights, and like it makes me so happy, and it gives me goosebumps, because I'm like, it was literally just a moment of, I really need to commit to this and like show people that this is who I am, you know, and I'm still learning how to do that. I'm not perfect, you know, I'm still growing into it. But I think that that's like a really, really important thing. And trust your gut instincts with everything. Like, trust your gut.
That's good advice.
Trust me. It is never wrong. It is never wrong. If you have like the smallest bad feeling about something, there is a reason. That's like a warning sign. Always follow it, no matter how good the opportunity may seem. Just trust me. It's like the most important thing.
That's good advice.
Yeah. There's been things that I've like said no to, and like even at one point my dad would be like, Jess, what are you doing? Why are you not doing that? I'm like, Dad, trust me. I have a bad feeling about this place or a bad feeling about this person, and time has always told that I was right. I was not wrong.
Well, you're on this podcast, so we must be doing something right. Let's go.
Yes. Love you guys. See that?
This feels like such an ego boost.
Seriously.
You're like, well, she's here. No.
I almost want to ask Nick's favourite question.
Oh.
The question he asks that he prides himself on.
I don't even know what this question is.
When you were when you were putting out content for your EP,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
how many times a week did you
What
post?
you posting? Oh my god.
We basically have your content plan.
I'm
I was actually more curious when you said radio play, like we sent it out to radio.
Yes.
I feel like that's less, like in here, I could
Yeah.
be wrong because I haven't, gone very far in that direction. But
Yes.
is it more difficult here in that sense? Is it like, or do you,
I
when you
can-
say that, do you just send it? Is
Yeah.
it just
so
emails?
basically,
Or did your manager send it?
No, not my manager. So basically, you have to kind of think about where you feel like your audience is, and for me, when it comes to my music, excuse me, I just burped. I felt like at the time that I first wanted to.
No, I'm not going to say it.
Sorry,
Say it.
No, please continue.
Just
You're
say
gonna
it.
say you're
No,
exclusive?
Just
Jazzy.
say it. You can't say you're going to say something and then not say it.
Okay, yeah, you're squeezed.
I'm squeezed.
Yeah.
Okay. Never say it again. Never say it again. Yeah, I feel like it depends on your type of music, and also there's some stations that you can personally like send your music to as well, and there's like independent stations and all that kind of stuff. So it just depends on your audience. Like where do you think your audience is, and if you think that that's the right thing for you to be doing. Like for me, I first started sending out my music with Bye Bye, and that was like a dance pop single, super dance pop, EDM. I did that with DJ Fluke, who's from Melbourne, and Gabba, who's from Mexico. So like that was a really mad like global collaboration, and
That's sick.
yeah, and I wrote the song, and like it was a really good song to go to like mainstream radio with,
Yep.
because it was like a dance pop song, So that was just like my marketing brain going like, yes, this is the right like thing for that. But obviously if you have like a slow R&B song, maybe it's not the right thing to be sending it. So it just depends like on what you think is like right for you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, please.
No, please.
No, please.
Please, you're squeezed. Please.
You're squeeze.
You're squeezed.
You're squeeze.
Sorry, this is something I wrestle with constantly,
Yeah.
and I've had this conversation with Raph. But I feel you're a great person to ask this question.
Okay.
Do you
She's scared.
find it difficult?
Yeah.
Do you find it difficult to balance multi-genres? Like, because I feel like you said, you get inspired by so many different things.
I do.
And
Listen.
how are you meant to market that? It's
Okay.
like one day I've got an indie song, and tomorrow I'm releasing a house song, and I had a wedding song before. It's like, I don't know. I'm just.
You're like, am I confusing people?
Yeah.
Right?
I love what you said before, though.
What did I say? I can't even remember.
You said you go into the studio and you make music that you like.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the thing
Yeah.
that joins all the people together. That's the thing that
Exactly.
joins your audience. Was that going to be your answer? Sorry, did I?
No,
steal
you're right. That's it. Thank you. He's correct. If you like it, like if you like the dance song, and then you like the wedding song, and you like the R&B song or the indie song, then you're fine, because you are creating your world. Do you know what I mean? Like your music doesn't need to be like put into a little pigeonhole of I only do R&B music. And don't get me wrong, it's like not bad to be like that. I think it's amazing to be able to be consistent in that way. Like some albums, some artists you listen to, the album, every song sounds like another version of the same song.
Yeah.
And they're massive artists, and it's beautiful and it's great. And there's an audience for that. But at the end of the day, your audience will find you, So it's not so much about marketing the music of like, I'm marketing as an R&B artist, You're marketing yourself, like you. It's not about like the music.
It's come get to know
It's
me.
you, right? Like if I'm I want people to follow me for me, and then like this is my music, and like they love the music because they know that it's my story and it's what I love, and they have the same taste as me, you know?
Yeah, so if you back yourself when you make a song, you go like, if I like this, if I genuinely like this, I know my audience will like it.
Exactly. Yes.
Because they like the other stuff that I've made, and that's what I like.
Exactly.
So they should also like this.
Yeah, because when you stay true to that part of yourself, then the people that find you are finding you because they're interested in that.
Yeah.
But if you're like trying to be someone else or trying to be one thing, you're going to attract an audience that then when you do that other thing, they're going to be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that for, you know? So, I mean, unless you're like really want to commit to one genre for a really long time until you get super like successful in it, and then you can switch. You can also do that as well. Like, you know, Taylor Swift starting with country music and being super successful in that, and then branching out to other things. So we're just like, everyone's story is very different. You know, you just have to believe in what you're doing and really love it. That's like the most important thing.
But would you be scared to delve into a completely different genre?
Absolutely not. I love it. I
Yeah?
love music. Yeah, I love so much music. I have a country song.
That's gone.
That is
Yeah.
gone. So you just back yourself, you just back your marketing in the way that you've done it, where it's Jazzy K the person, not
It's my
Jazzy
it's
the
my
R&B
world.
artist.
Yeah,
It's Jazzy's world.
it's my world. Yeah, it's like sometimes I'm in a really cool mood and I'm a cool girl, and sometimes I'm really emotional and I'm really sad, and you're gonna get a really emotional sad song. So like it's all my feelings, and it's all real. Like it's not like I'm just like taking other things from other people. Like it's all me, you
Yeah,
know.
I get
So
you.
if it's me, then someone else has to relate to it, you know.
100%.
Is Jazzy's world? Sorry, I could be
Squeeze.
deeping this so hard.
That's great.
But when you say Jazzy's world, do you consciously make an effort to truly like when you say Jazzy's world and
Yeah.
you're creating the world, that's not like, do you take that as more of a light statement, or you purposefully
I know what you're
intend-
saying.
Do you get what I'm saying?
me-
I
okay.
don't want to deep it, but
No, you're fine. Let me explain. Okay, let me tell like a little story that might help you understand how I started building my world, right, as an artist in general. Jazzy's world.
Pink and blue.
Yeah,
Those are the colours of
exactly.
Jazzy's world.
it's
Thank
pink and
you.
purple.
It's a pink,
a baby
purple,
pink.
blue. It's like perfect. This is amazing. When you put them together, I think it's purple.
It'll be purple, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe right in the
Yeah,
middle.
right in the middle.
Maybe.
somewhere.
I don't know.
That's
We'll
like
have to see how it comes
one
out.
of the
What a great
planets.
idea,
Anyway.
whoever that was.
Yeah. Anyway,
Like toot your own horn, mate.
so
I didn't say it was me.
when I first started going to LA, I had barely ever been in like a studio session. It was very foreign to me. The first 3 times I went to LA, I never stepped foot in a studio. I was going to network and I was doing like open mics. Like I was just singing at random bars and like just like the complete like beginning things that you do, you know? I wasn't trying to like push my way in. I just wanted to go and see what it was like and see if it was really like the right thing for me. And as I was doing these things, it led me to different people, and like people say, hey, come to the studio, blah, blah, blah. And I started getting into sessions slowly and working with different producers. And at that time, a lot of my music I wrote just with no music. Like, because I couldn't play an instrument.
Just acapella the song?
Yeah, I would just like come up with melodies and like lyrics.
crazy.
That were just like in my head, and then
That's
I would
crazy.
write them down, and everything was handwritten. Like it was like,
And then you just sing it.
yeah, so then I would go to the studio and I'd be like, I have this song and it goes like this. I don't want to be alone tonight. Everything I fear starts to rise. And I would have like these melodies, like these whole songs, but no beat. And then the producer, thank God, could play like chords on a piano. And like this was specifically with Mars. This is my guy Mars. And he starts playing the chords to it and laying them down and like taking it in the direction that like I could visualize it being in, you know? Anyways, I was doing a lot of experimenting in that time because it was like being dragged to this session and then going to meet that person and like anything and everything. Like I want to meet everyone, you know? I want to do everything. I want to see everything and I want to experience it and learn. It was all about learning. It's kind of like my university of music, you know, was being there. And I was doing all these things and all of my demos sounded different. Like one sounded like a trap song, and then one sounded like an R&B song, and then one sounded like it was like a pop. And I had all these different, like, it was all over the place. It was a mess, like a complete mess, but I loved it all. It was like so fun. And I would do these like little showcases, like industry showcases, where you sing maybe for like 15, 20 minutes. Yep. A bunch of demos I'd written, right? Yep. And like one of them I did with a piano player, one of them I did, and these are all my like people that like I would just like happen to run into, and then they help me, and then like they'll be like, oh, I know someone who can play drums, and like it was really sweet.
Wow.
Like the community there is incredible when you meet the right people. Everyone is very inspired and like willing to help. So I would do these showcases, and I had no music out, by the way. This is like no music. I'm just going out and performing, right?
So you didn't have management at this time?
No, nothing. This is just all demos, right? So I'm going around with my dad. My dad's with me all the time. Like I don't go by myself. I'm not independent. So I would get lost in 1 second, by the way. This is not me on my own, guys. Okay. So anyways, I would find that people would come up to me after these shows and I would be getting this feedback that was like always the same thing. And a lot of people would tell me, you just give me the essence of an artist from the early 2000s. And I was singing like all different genres of music. Like you don't know where I belonged, right? I didn't have a specific thing going on. And I never thought about it. But I did grow up on 2000s music. And like, it was almost like this like voice coming to me of like people telling me, this is how I see you. I can hear that your melodies that you're writing are really inspired by the early 2000s. I can see with the way that you perform, you're performing to not just this crowd, you're performing as if there's like 1 million people in front of you. Like I've always gotten that type of feedback when I was performing. And that to me is really, really important because that's natural. That's not forced. That's not something that I'm saying I'm gonna create Jazzy's world and it's gonna be like, this is not. Like when you create your world as an artist, you have to take in what you are naturally as well, right? So then when people were telling me that, I was like, yeah, like I always wanted to be like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Destiny's Child. That's the reason, like Hannah Montana. That's the reason why I wanted to be an artist in the first place.
You wanted the best of both worlds.
You know, was like watching these artists and they were always my biggest inspirations. But I'm a bit slow and like I don't really know much about myself. I don't really do much self-reflection, you know? So naturally hearing this feedback, it taught me about myself. And I was like, this is the vibe I'm naturally giving off. And this is actually what I love. Like it really is. That's the music. I love pop music, you know? So I was like, why am I not focusing on that as much as I am just like writing these slow emotional songs or this or that? I know I can do that and I love doing all of it, but if that's the vibe that people are getting naturally, and that's what I'm scared to be, because I'm scared to say, like, I really want to be a pop star, you know? It's like, it's a scary thing to say. It's like, oh, who does she think she is, you know? Like, if I'm writing sad ballads, it's like so much easier to hide behind that, you know? And like, oh, like, it's like more like emotional.
Yeah.
So I then purposefully started creating a project that was based around the early 2000s. And I was like, I'm really gonna go there and I'm gonna go hard into that. So that way I'm creating a world that makes sense to me. I might be like pushing it more in that direction, but that's what branding is. So until you really like push yourself, like you have to be like, if you say, I see myself as this type, like my brand is purple and blue and like this, but then like you're not showing that on social media, it's just in your head. It's almost like you have to really dramatize it. So yes, there is, this is like such a long response for your question.
No, this is a great response.
But it just gives you like an idea into like how it all kind of came together. And it is a sense of like forcing it, of being like, I'm going to purposefully like get a flip phone that's bedazzled and use that to create my content.
Because looks like it's out of the 2000s.
Yeah, but it's also because that's naturally who I am. Like I'm not like trying to be that. Does that make sense? But I am putting effort in to make it known that this is who I am, you know, and that this is the person that I'm, like the character that I'm playing. But it also is very true to me. Because if you're going to play a character that's not true to you, it will show very quickly. You know, so you got to be careful and make sure it's like really, it is true. But then there is elements where you're purposefully saying, I'm going to purposefully make sure when I go into the podcast, if the light's not pink, I'm going to ask if it can be pink or blue. You know, like little things like that. Like it wasn't a natural thing, but today it was, because you guys were like, we know Jazzy, she's going to want pink and blue. And you did it, you know, so great job to all of us.
That was bad. We have to.
So yeah, I mean, so to answer your question, it is a sense of, you know, putting it on, but also it has to be something that comes naturally to you and that you actually love, you know, like you have to love it.
Yeah.
So you're dramatizing your true self.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't mean to like, kind of like question your like poke at your answer.
Don't poke at me.
But like, so you say like, okay, like I got to push the pop and push this kind of an appearance.
Yeah.
So then, but then on the other hand, it's like if I dropped a country song, that doesn't play into that. So like, how do you balance it?
Well, I've always, like, genre-wise, I've always been very, like, I dabble in things depending on the feeling. But when it came to specifically doing my EP, I leaned it towards a genre,
Yep.
if that makes sense. But when you listen through to the, like, if you listen from the beginning to the end, you will hear, like, the ballad, R&B side. There was just an overall, like, direction I was going in when I would go into those sessions.
Yep.
But outside of that, I release, like, a dance song, or I'll release, you know, a collaboration with a DJ,
Yep.
because that all makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay.
I
okay,
love
I get
all
you.
of that.
So it's
you
like
know?
if you're doing a project, you don't want to confuse the audience of the project itself.
I
like
mean,
you're going
I
to
will,
stick with.
for me personally, if I know that I'm making an EP and I'm
Yeah.
inspired to do a project, there is a world I'm building within that project.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you
Okay.
can do it. You can do a project, and one of the songs is country, and one of the songs is pop, and one of the songs is R&B. But your story might be that you're telling a story throughout all those songs, and you're giving people an experience. Like, you know, this is where it started, and this was the heartbreak, and then this was. It all depends on you having that, like, overall idea. Like, give
get
it
you.
the, like, effort of
There
thinking
needs to be something
it's a world.
that
There's
links
a
it.
reason.
It can't just be for no reason.
Yeah, like, don't do it for no reason. Have purpose behind the reason you're
Yeah.
doing it. You know, but with my singles, it's like, that's a single, that's something I
Yeah.
felt in that moment. I'm gonna release that, and it's still a part of my world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the audience, like, really resonates with that. Like, so many people were saying to me, don't release an EP, just release singles, this and that. And I was like, but I've never done a project, and I really want to do one. And I knew, like, I do understand that singles are so important. And that's, like, basically how I released it anyway, was like through singles and being
Yep.
consistent. But at the same time, you know, those are the decisions that you have to take on board yourself. Like, do you see yourself as an artist that's creating a world? And if you are, then sometimes those little projects along the way help give fans something to connect to and really understand you better, you know? So,
I get you.
yeah, and, like, to tell your story through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have two questions if Nick doesn't have anything.
I was actually going to repeat the question you said before because I derailed it,
Did I not answer
which
it?
was no. It was a bit more specific. It was my favorite question, and then
Shit.
And I stole
Raph
it.
asked it. Raph asked it, and then I went, "Oh, actually, about radio play," and it sort of derailed. But now I get to ask it again. So once you have the branding, is there any specific tips you can give to, you know, up and coming artists for social media that you studied in that time where sort of everything fell apart, and then you knew you had to go all in yourself and do the research? Is there anything, not so much like just certain times you found were better posting or better style videos, lighting, wearing certain things, like actually quite specific things that you wouldn't really take into account, or the schedule of posting?
It's a great question. I would say that when it comes to posting in general, I'm not very good at planning, which is not great. Like, it's better to plan because then you have content ready. So that's something that I'm still trying to get better at, is planning. Because if you can, like, plan content and be super consistent, that's always the best way. And it doesn't matter if it's like what time, you know, you can figure that out on your own algorithm. Like, if you feel like, you know what, 6 p.m. is the best time for me, like, that's the time for you. Like, just stick to it, and your audience will, like, get used to that, you know? So I would say when it comes to, like, how many times a week and that kind of stuff, I'm not great at yet. Like, I haven't really figured it out for myself. Right now, I just kind of post, like, at around either 3 p.m. on TikTok or earlier in the morning, like around 7 a.m. But when I have a song release coming out, like something that I'm specifically promoting, I try my best to pre-plan at least some sort of, like, you know, there's always the then when the song is out, and then the few weeks following that, and always having different styles of content ready for that. Always, you know, they always say, like, the iPhone content is the best. It always translates best. But at the same time, you see so many artists who do, like, super high quality, like, videos and little clips of their songs, and they really focus on it. And that goes really great as well. And that can blow the song up. Or like Dasha, I saw her live at the iHeart Theatre when I was there. Like, it was, like, awesome. She's an amazing performer. And she was talking about how when her song blew up, it, like, changed her life. It literally completely blew up. Like just from her going to her friend and saying, let's do a dance routine to my new song. And they like just had fun all night, like drinking and like came up with the dance routine. And they just started posting it. And she said that when she posted the song and that video, the one that blew up, she said she was posting like so many times a day, the same dance, like in different places. Like I think it was something crazy, like 10 times a day or something. Every single day. I was like, oh my God. So it really is a crazy thing, social media. But I would definitely say being consistent is key, to always try to be consistent. Find like content styles that work for you, that you feel like is your brand, that you like enjoy doing and you like it, and it doesn't feel too hard to create. You know, things that like, if you have to put effort in, that's fine, but it doesn't feel like it's like literally like so hard that you're getting like stressed out, you know? Yeah. So try to find things that come naturally and really go hard with that, and write out like 5, you could mix a high quality video with a selfie video and something about your lifestyle, you know, as well, that's like outside of music, because people don't just like want to know your music, they want to know about you as well, and like other things. So, you know, things with my sisters do really well, like when we post together, things with my family, like things like, you know, you just kind of have to figure out your own flow. And if you really are like, if you're an artist watching and you have no idea, like you're like completely lost, don't know what to post at all, go to artists that you really like see yourself in, like artists that you find like, that's like who I see myself in, up and coming ones as well, not just like the really big ones, and see what kind of content they're posting, and like get ideas from the type of style of videos that they're doing, and try to create that in your own way. Like obviously don't ever copy like completely point blank, but get some ideas that then can work in with your music as well.
What were the ideas that kind of inspired you? Like what are your pillars, that like your go-to like consistent ideas that you pull out?
Well, I would say having my own recording set up at home probably changed my life. That happened during COVID. Okay. So I started learning how to record myself from home, and that
so like same room all the time?
Not just about being in the same room, but that just gave me like the efficiency and the space to be by myself recording. Because before that, like every time I'm recording like a cover or something, I'm like in the studio, and you're never like fully relaxed, you know, in the studio. It's just like impossible unless you're by yourself. So being in the bedroom, but being in my own room by myself recording like open verses or writing songs, it taught me a lot about myself, and it helped me create content that I didn't have to rely on anyone for. So like if I, for example, with Coldplay, wanted to write a verse to the Coldplay song, it was literally the same day. I woke up at 4 a.m. I have the voice recording of me sounding like half asleep, coming up with the melody. And then the same day, I just locked myself in my room, recorded it, and posted it that day. You know, so like doing those like open verses, I think really helped me. There's like little remixes and stuff. And then, but also like being like, making sure it's content that is a part of your brand. So even if I'm doing a cover, it's a type of song that I would release. Do you know what I mean? Not just covering like anything and everything because it's trending. Yeah, trending songs are great, but how can you make it your own so that if those people really like your cover, when they go to your Spotify, they're going to really like your music as well. You know, so like that's always like a really important thing, I think, as well, that I worked with in my brain.
No, that's good. Like you wouldn't just go like do a cover of like a Flume song just because it's got female vocals on it.
Yeah, exactly. Unless like I went to the studio and reproduced the beat to be more like a Jazzy K song, and then like it would make sense, you know.
Why 4 a.m.?
You should do that.
Did you just wake up at 4?
I couldn't sleep. I had just gotten back from LA, and literally
hard-hitting questions, Nick.
Yeah, the day before I just landed, and then I woke up at 4 a.m. and the melody was just like in my head. And I started recording it into my phone with no music, just like a melody. And then I went back to sleep. I woke up again at 7 a.m. and I canceled all my plans that day because I had to post it that day. There was no choice. I had to. And I recorded it, and I said a prayer before I recorded it. And I said, God, please, if this is meant for me, let Coldplay see this video and bring me on stage with them.
No way.
That was like, I said, if this is meant, because I felt like it was going to happen. And that is not normally something that I feel. Like I'm very like intuitive, if that makes sense. Like I don't just...
You trust your gut.
Yeah. I have a big I dream very big, but I'm also very realistic at the same time. Like, so I don't get disappointed. I just keep going, you know? So, but I really felt like, I'm like, I feel like this is meant to happen. So then I said that prayer, and then all the lyrics came after that. I recorded it by myself. And then, oh my God, actually, I should remember something. Then I bounced the file, right? And I had our family friend's birthday party late in the afternoon. And I was late to it because I canceled everything before that. And I sent the file to my dad. I emailed it to him so he can listen to it. Because my dad's always the first person that I email my verses to.
Your dad?
Yeah, because he will listen to like the mix and stuff because I'm such a beginner at like Pro Tools and all that. So it's not always great.
Yeah.
And I want him to listen to it, make sure it sounds good. So I emailed it to him. And I'm thinking in my head, this was just like a rough version. Like I need to go back home after this event in the afternoon.
Yep.
I need to run back home and I need to fix it. I need to add in these vocals. I need to fix that bit. I need to re-record that bit. Anyways, I got home and the whole session deleted. It was gone. And I was like, oh my God. I was going to die. And I said, okay. I said, I don't know why, but everything happens for a reason, and I'm just going to believe that this is the one I meant to post. So I just posted it.
No way.
I was like, I'm not going to waste time. I need to be efficient.
Did you do anything to it? Like it was like raw vocal?
No, I added extra vocals in the background.
Yeah.
Like on the you know, on the line. I like added like doubles and stuff because before it was just like one single vocal.
Yeah.
So I did all my little doubles over the full recording. So I didn't have like all the stems or anything. Just like the recording I already sent out, the file I already bounced. I just dragged it back in. I added a bit of like backing vocals, and I was like, okay, that's it. I'm leaving it up to God from now. And I filmed it and I posted it, and I was like, I hope it's good enough. We'll see.
And then they saw it.
And then
Did your manager have anything to do with like helping them say it, or like you literally just posted it and Coldplay was like,
so they were
I'm getting
so
that woman.
they were looking for artists to bring out.
I remember. I remember seeing it.
They brought out an artist in Melbourne and they brought out another artist in Sydney. So they were like purposefully wanting, that was their mission, like to get more people on the song. But obviously so many people were like going into this, and more people that just posted as well. Like I think like with being like with the label and stuff, there was other ways that they got their artists in than just like publicly. So there was so many submissions, and I found out, I was like literally on the phone with my manager like a week and a half before Coldplay was meant to be in Sydney. And I was like, I don't know why they haven't called me yet. They have to call me. And he's like, why don't you like maybe send them a DM? Or like, you know, you never know. Like sometimes these days artists just see DMs, like, you know, like it happens. Or post another video about it. What, like, you know, do something else. I was like, oh my God. And I just felt like, is it over? Like, because it was a week before. I was like, there's no way that like this is going to happen anymore, you know? And then on the Monday, they called me, their label called me and was like, we want you, they saw your video and they picked you to come on the last two shows.
That's amazing.
And I just died. I was just crying. And as much as I was like, why haven't they called me? That was like my alter ego. You know what I mean? Like inside, I'm like, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, this is insane. Like this is the craziest thing to ever believe will actually come true. And then that was just like me manifesting and being positive and confident, you know, about it. And then it ended up happening. So
That's crazy.
That's mad.
That's crazy. Because me and Nick were talking about it. We were like, how do you think like they picked those artists?
Yeah.
And we were like, I don't know.
I was wondering as well. I was like, I wonder how they picked. And then I found out that there was like finalists that were probably pre-picked, and then those finalists were played to them, and then they picked.
Right, so like a
from
team of people. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And just like
That's
the whole-
incredible. Congratulations.
Thank
Wow.
yeah, that's honestly amazing. Far out, man.
Thank you. No, it really
And I
is
mean, you
such a
killed
blessing.
it. You killed it. I was
Thank you.
fortunate enough to be there on the day
Yeah.
with Caitlin
Yeah.
in the crowd, very close to the stage.
Oh my God.
So
Where were
you-
you sitting? Were you close? Like,
Yeah, we weren't sitting.
Oh,
We were
you
in
were
the pod.
standing.
We
You
were
were
in the
in the
mosh.
mosh pit. Oh my God.
We were probably like if you're looking at the stage, we were off to the right side, maybe like, I want to say like 10 to 15 meters from the stage.
Oh
As if
my
you
God.
didn't see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell, man? As if you
Sorry?
didn't see Caitlin, she was
Well,
waiting.
you didn't come to my show. So
That's what it was. Okay, you're just getting even. That's okay.
I was
man.
ignoring
Next
you.
time.
You weren't part of the Jazzy verse yet,
Yeah,
mate.
exactly. I could
Not part
feel
of
it.
Jazzy's world.
Yeah.
The cutest thing was when I would look into the mosh pit, and then like I would see people were doing like love hearts to me,
That's
and it was
that's
super
mad.
cute.
that's
And I was
so
like,
good.
and I was like, oh, Chris is there. I thought it was my show for 1 second. I was like, oh, hey, Chris.
Just on stage.
It was so much emotions at once. Like you're trying to you want to just like take everything in, you know?
How was that experience? Like, did you get to meet him before, sit
Yeah.
down with him, have a chat, or was it just like, okay, we're on in 5 minutes, boom?
Well, I got to, so I did Saturday and Sunday night. You were there on Sunday night, right?
I was there.
I think
Yeah,
I was like
it
wearing,
the
I was
last-
wearing, it was the last
It was
night.
the last one.
On the first night that I went, I got there at 3:00. So like I was like, their team is like emailing my team and like we're sorting out all the scheduling and stuff. And I know that there's a sound check, right? So I brought my own in-ears and I was so scared that my in-ears weren't good enough for like a stadium or like, and I was like, I don't know, are you supposed to have like different in-ears for this big of a room? I even emailed the tech team and I was like, guys, like these are the in-ears I have, are they okay? Like, should I get different ones?
You
They
were
like,
stressing hardcore.
yeah, they were like, no, you'll be fine. I was like, okay, great. They're like, if they're not fine, like we'll give you like another one. So I'm like, okay. And I was so nervous. And but their team was so great and like they really like made me feel so comfortable. They didn't like rush me or anything. So we went into the sound check and I had heard, like I was told that Chris Martin and Coldplay, the whole band will be at sound check. But on that Saturday, Chris Martin wasn't there.
Oh.
And it was just like, not just, but it was Coldplay. Like the band were
Yeah.
there, the drummer, the guitarist, like
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
all
yeah.
there. But Chris himself wasn't there. So I did the sound check, which was very overwhelming at the beginning because we were underneath the stage and we started like underneath with just the ears. And then they were like, okay, you want to go up to the stage now? And I'm like, oh my God, like yes. And we're climbing these stairs that are like that flat to get up because you're underneath the
Yeah,
stage.
yeah, yeah.
So you're like it's like
It's
an
a
elevator,
vertical
but it's
staircase.
stairs. It's just like a flat staircase. And you're going up and then like you just see this whole empty arena and you're like, what is this? Like, it's like unreal,
That's
you know?
crazy. Can you
And
imagine that?
I was with Coldplay's backup singers who were like angels sent to earth. They were the nicest women in the world. And then Shone, who's also an artist who was on stage singing the chorus and singing the bridge as well for We Pray. And he's been touring with them for a while now. And we just kind of went over the song a few times without Chris. And then the band came and I got to meet them and they liked my glittery water bottle. And it was really like, they're super down to earth, like so chill.
So specific.
Yeah. And then at the end of that sound check, they all stood and clapped for me, which was like
Oh, that's
the
so
most insane thing to ever
That's crazy.
experience. And they were like to me, go to the front, don't stand at the back. No one is gonna think, who does she think she is? They go, that's not what we brought you here for. They go, we brought you here because we believe in you and we want to show the world who you are. So go to the front of the stage. Like, don't be scared. Don't go to the back. And even like when I would go backwards when it's not my section, like to sing, like one of the team members, she would come to me and she'll say, Jazz, I love that like you're like vibing with, you know, the singers and stuff. But she's like, don't come to the back. Go to the front. She goes, show them who you are. And I was like, oh my God, okay. I was like, that's crazy. Like, you know, like just like that. Like what a blessing to be asked to perform with Coldplay, my own verse that I wrote, but then also to have such a team where like they're so supportive and they're so encouraging. Like you can't dream that to come to life. Like that could have been like the most stressful experience ever, but I still got to perform with Coldplay. But they made it like the most magical experience ever, you know? So that was really, really beautiful. And then I met Chris Martin on stage that night. So that's why on Saturday night, I like saw him and I'm like, hi, but like I hugged him on stage and that was a real hug because I never met him. I was like, nice to meet you, you know, and that was really cool. So on Saturday night, sometimes I would like zone out for 1 second because I wasn't like, I didn't do sound check with him. So I was like remembering what I did on sound check, but then I'm like, oh my God, like I'm on stage with Chris Martin, like I'm on stage with Coldplay, you know? So it was just like really insane. It was such an insane feeling. And I had put my in-ears too loud. And I thought because like it's going to be really loud, like there's going to be 80,000 people compared to sound check. But I made the biggest mistake because it was all muffly in my ear. So then I'm like trying to panic and find the little knob by the time my verse came on to turn it down a bit. It was like all of these things going on. But then Sunday, I met him in soundcheck properly, and I got to speak with him, and it was like insane. It was so beautiful, and he was asking me about like my life and my career and like if I'm signed, and I was like no, and like all these things. And then out of nowhere, he just starts singing my verse to me. Like it was pitch silent. He was like literally looking in a different direction. I'm just standing there, and like with singers all around us, like we're all in a circle. And then out of nowhere, he just looks at me and he goes, love it or hate it, I put it all on the line. And I'm like,
that's crazy.
He's like, it's an amazing verse. Like, we wouldn't have brought you here if it wasn't an incredible verse. He's like, you killed it. I'm like, what? Am I dreaming? I was like, stop it right now. And then he ended up at the end of that sound check with like the whole music and everything. He was like, hey, Jazz, come on the piano. Let's do it together, just a cappella. So he played We Pray on the piano, and we did it just like completely a cappella, just the both of us. And I was panicking putting my in-ear back in because it was just out of nowhere. He's very like free, you know? So it's just like whatever he's feeling, he'll do. And there was no warning. It was just like, come Jazz on the, and he's like playing it. And I'm like, just putting like my in-ear. I'm like, we pray, we pray. I was like, yeah, it was insane. I definitely cried in that situation. I was crying, and I was like, okay, I need to relax. Stop crying, Jazz.
I feel like crying's the correct reaction.
I think so.
I feel like if you didn't cry, you'd actually be weird.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I either need to like.
I mean, you're on stage with Chris Martin.
Yeah.
And he sings you your verse, and then he loves it so much that he goes, oh, I just want to do it me and you, piano a cappella.
It was insane. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was really, really beautiful.
Amazing.
What an experience. What a story.
I know. It feels like a dream still. Like it feels like it wasn't real. And then whenever I think about it, or like a Coldplay song comes on, I just remember, because I would be like walking to stage like to Yellow. Like that was my cue to like walk to under the stage, or then like I'd be walking off stage to another song. And then every time I hear those songs, it's like I just remember exactly what I was feeling, and it feels like a dream come true. Like exactly what I dream of doing in my life, and that feeling I get and those goosebumps I get when I dream about it happening is like what happened in that moment. You know, it was like really real. So I'm like very grateful that I got to experience that, you know, because I can be successful in music to an extent, but it doesn't mean you're going to perform in front of 80,000 people with the biggest band in the world, you know? So it's like really such a beautiful experience and such a big blessing that like I'm so, so grateful for, you know?
You'll never listen to Yellow the same ever again.
It's not, no, I can't. Crazy. Every time I listen to a Coldplay song, I'm like, magic exists. Magic is real. Truly.
God is good.
God is good.
Now you spoke about, like you said, a prayer.
Yeah.
Is that something you regularly do with all your releases?
I wouldn't say like specifically to every song. Like I don't say a prayer before I write a song all the time, but like I have, you know, my relationship with God, and like I'm always, you know, praying, and it's a strong part of what like pulls me to the things that like I write about and I talk about and stuff. For sure, yeah.
Well, I'm still shocked after that story. To
Me too. I mean,
because I sort of got lost in the story.
Yeah.
It's like you imagine that happening, but
It's
like
crazy.
it happened to you. Does that make sense? It's like,
it doesn't feel like it did, but then at the same time, it's like I knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like it's it's almost like this weird mix of like I'm crying because I'm like, how is this even real? But then ever since I was a little girl, I've seen this image of like what is going to happen, what my life is going to look like. And that's what I've been chasing my whole life. And it's like, it happened in that moment. And I was like, I knew it was coming. I could always see it. And like, maybe to half the world, I seem crazy, or like the world around me. But then when it happens, it's like, no, like there's a reason for the things that you dream and the things that you're pulled towards, you know? And it really like gives you that, like, yeah, like I'm doing the right thing, you know? Yeah.
Far out. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to follow that. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm just, that's the best story.
It's really beautiful.
That's getting clipped immediately. 100%.
No,
Actually, I think I know how to follow it.
How do you follow it?
Did you get proposed to on stage?
I did.
Yeah, shit, that's a great question.
That's a great question. Yes, I did.
So how did that
And that's
happen? Did you know that was going to happen? Did you?
Oh my God. No, I had no idea.
Was that at the Spiegel tent?
It was at the Spiegel tent. And don't laugh.
That word is just
It's funny.
sorry.
I
Yeah,
know,
it
it's
is.
a funny word. I had no idea. I was completely in shock when it happened. I literally thought I fainted. Like, you can imagine planning a show, from finding the location to styling the outfits, finding the dancers, the rehearsals, putting the set list together, like hours in the studio. What song am I going to do? Where am I going to do this? Da, da, da. Doing all the mixes, all of the mashups, like planning the costume changes. Like, there's all these things that went into this show, right? And it was like insanity. It was crazy that we even pulled it off, right? And then on top of all of that, I was like so distracted that I had no idea of anything else that was happening. That's all I was focusing on. And then at the end of my show, I was like ready. I was done. Like, I was exhausted. I was so happy. I felt this huge relief that it was like done and we did it and it was over. And I couldn't wait to just like run into the audience and meet everyone. And, you know, so many people, I'm thinking about everyone that like flew in or like drove 3 hours to come, and I just can't wait to go to them, you know? And then my partner came out and he proposed, and I thought I fainted. I literally thought I fainted. Honestly, I thought I passed out. Until after I was off stage, it took me like about an hour to realize that I didn't faint. Like,
You just blacked out?
I blacked out, yeah. And when he proposed to me, I thought, oh my God, Jazz, how embarrassing. You just fainted in front of everyone and you're just laying on the floor and everyone's just like panicking that you fainted. That's all.
That's what you actually thought had
That's what was
happened.
going on in my head. So,
But
even,
you pulled through, you said yes.
Yeah, like even when he said like, will you marry me? I was like, I need to say like, yes. Like I said to myself, Jazz, say yes. And I was like, yes. But I also thought I fainted. I was like, I don't know if this is real or not. Like, it was very surreal. Yeah. It was crazy.
You've had quite a few experiences on stage, far out. Oh my God.
Yeah. Definitely. But it was really cool.
Those are like probably the two craziest on stage stories
Yeah, I
that
think
you could
so.
possibly have.
I think so. But the thing is that with Mike proposing, I blacked out. With Coldplay, I wouldn't say I blacked out. I would say that because I like mentally prepared myself, I was just like basically high off of energy. Like I'd honestly never felt like any sort of adrenaline like that or anything in my life. It was just insanity. Like, it was crazy adrenaline. I was like in the clouds.
My God.
Yeah.
That's insane. Far out.
It was insane.
Which do you prefer? No, I'm joking.
Which one was better?
I mean, I love both. Probably the one where I was conscious. I'm dead. Which do you prefer? No, it was beautiful. It's just, they're both a huge blessing for sure.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Far out. I almost want to jump back and ask you more of like the logistical questions again.
We're gonna rewind.
Rewind. Yeah, that's right. So you're not signed.
No,
Is that correct?
I'm independent.
You're independent artist.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic flex for starters. Congratulations on
Thank
that,
you.
especially with the amount of success that you've had.
Oh, thank you. That's very
like
sweet.
that's ridiculous because
Thank you.
I feel like there's almost a stigma behind it, at least for people who might not be trying to go the independent route. That like, if I want to have any sort of success, I have to be signed.
Yeah.
I have to be with the label. I need the backing from these big companies.
It's-
And you're just proving that
yeah.
that's not the case at all.
It's really hard. It's hard because every situation is so unique. Everyone's life is so different, you know? And I've been really lucky where I've been very patient as well. Like, I did a lot of research before I started singing. And before I went to LA, I researched about every artist I looked up to, and I saw the things that like ruined their careers and the things that didn't, and this, all these things. And I kind of got into the music industry as it was becoming a thing where it's like, hey, you could be independent.
Yeah.
Like now you can distribute your own music. Like that's kind of, I was like at the beginning, I feel like, of that kind of vibe where it was becoming popular to do that. And I was really lucky in the sense that my manager, who's, like I said, he's in LA, and a lot of managers will like sign young artists and then want to get them a deal because, I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, and they're going to make money off of the deal that you get.
100%.
But I was being offered record deals before I had any music out. I was being offered record deals with Sony in LA. Australia, like a major label in Australia wanted to sign me before I even went to LA. And I declined it. I said no, like, but very respectfully, because they wanted me to be in a girl group, and I didn't see myself doing that. I also didn't see myself being signed in LA. Being signed in Australia. Right. That wasn't really like my goal at the time. And I had so much to learn and develop in as well. And then when I met my manager, I was really lucky in the sense that he was super like about being independent. And he was like, you should own your music because that's your legacy, that's for your family, that's for your kids' like that's going to be like, that's your life's work. Yeah. And he's worked with so many superstars who have had the worst experiences with owning their music and being in the worst situations. So he had learned a lot from those experiences and really wanted the best for me. So besides the fact of my own research that I did, I also had him educating me and being supportive of not rushing me into a major label deal as well. So I did have the confidence, like going into a meeting, I would still take the meeting always when like a label wanted to offer me like a record deal or anything. And I would always take the meeting. But then like for example, Sony and LA asked me like, do you want to be signed? And I was like, to be honest, like I feel like I don't have any music out and I have so much growth that I can do on my own first. And they were like so impressed and they loved that answer. They were like, my job today was to sign you, but we respect the fact that like you know what you want and you have a very good team around you. That's like, you deserve to have a long career, not just a short one, you know? And they agreed that it would have been at that time too soon to...
Well, that's...
Yeah.
That's actually massive props to you.
Yeah, thank you.
But how do you end up in a position... Sorry, I know I cut you off. But how do you end up in a position where record labels already want to sign you and you don't even have music out?
I have no idea.
Was that your question?
That's a great question.
That was the first question, and if they knew it was going to be short. Like
that one wigged me out as well.
I can't get into that too much because there was a bit more to that conversation where like I just want to respect the people that were like honest with me at that time. That's the only thing. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know how any of it happened. All I was doing was just like hustling. Like I was just writing songs all the time, going to studio sessions. I think like my demos must have been like maybe someone was listening to it in a studio and then someone heard it. They were like, who's this artist? Meet her right now. It ended up being the boss that asked the A&R meet her and sign her before she goes back to Australia. That was like
So when you were doing your studio sessions in LA, they discovered you?
Yeah. It was like I had probably done, I'm trying to remember because it was a bit ago. It's because it was before I released anything. I probably had like a few demos that I was sending around of songs that I had written to like YouTube beats and stuff that like weren't properly produced, like super half-ass vocals, like nothing like that you'd think was amazing. Well, maybe like they obviously have something like special about them. Probably the songwriting is more the thing that was like focused, that was sticking out because I've always been like naturally a songwriter and like a storyteller for sure. Like I can say that always has been like that's been like my strongest thing has been my songwriting. So they must have just like heard something in that, you know, and like seen, you know, potential.
Crazy. So when you went to America, because you said you work with Mars.
Yes, so my guy Mars.
So how did you meet like these producers? How did you start getting into those studio sessions?
So that was like the open mic that I did. He was actually like one of the founders of that open mic. So when I went up to sing, it was like it was kind of like a band that was just jamming. And then you can go up and be like, I want to sing this song. And then they'll play it for you. which is really scary, by the way. It's like so hard to do. And he really like loved my voice, and he went up to my dad because he knew my dad was with me. And he was
Your
like,
dad?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay.
And he was like, you know, is she signed? What's her situation like? Blah, blah, blah. You know, we're like, no, very green, very new. And he was like, I think she needs the right producer and I'd love to work with her and like see what we can do. So that was like one of the first, like, it was just very natural, like being out and about and like putting myself out there, you know, in scary, very scary situations.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
Far out. And you didn't have your management at that point.
No.
You already said. So
This
then how
is
did you
all
end
before.
up meeting your manager?
So
And why did you feel like you needed your manager as well?
So yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, I trust my instincts a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I felt at that specific time was that I need representation in LA because I don't live in LA. I'm not solid there. I'm not there 24/7 every day of the year. And when you're in LA, there are things that happen for your career that cannot happen when you're in Australia. Yes, like obviously you now with social media, you can do so much from home. You don't have to go anywhere. Like you can literally blow up your whole career online. But there is so many things and benefits of having someone championing you within the industry and finding those right opportunities and knowing how to leverage those opportunities that come along. So I really felt like I needed someone that I could trust in LA, that when I'm coming and when I'm going, there's someone that's constant there for me and like really like sees the vision and sees the potential. And we ended up we did a trial run with a management team that did not work out very well. And lucky it was just a trial. You know, there were just like a lot of things that didn't feel right. And we had gone to LA for 3 months specifically to work with this management team, and they work with great artists, like massive artists. It just wasn't the right fit for me. And that was something really hard to walk away from because it was like, it's scary, you know, like you're there because you have a plan and like these are the people and it's like all the excitement is around this thing. But when you feel like there's something that's not right here, you do have to like trust that, like I said, you know? So I ended up, for very good reasons that I don't want to get into, ended up leaving this team and basically had no one in LA at this point. And I had another like 2 months and 3 weeks in LA of like nothing planned, absolutely zero. And I ended up having a friend of ours who is a security guard in the music industry.
No way.
Yes. And he called me up randomly and was like, hey, Jazz, can you come here? And I was like, about to watch my friends perform. I have these 2 really good friends and this family. Their name's Mason and Jules. They're also Australian, but they live in LA and they do country music. They're amazing. So I was at one of their shows when they were young. Like this was a few years ago. Like they were still short and now they're taller than me. And anyways, I was about to watch them sing and he was like, I feel like you really need to be here. I have someone I want to introduce you to. And I was like, okay. And he had no idea that I was leaving this other team at the time. And I looked at my dad. I'm like, Dad, we got to go. Because this friend is not like, his insecurity, he's never called me and said, can you come here right now? Like that's never been a thing, you know? I was like, this must be really important. So we apologized and they understood. They're like, Jazz, this is LA. Just go. You know, we understand. We're like, okay. So me and my dad called an Uber really quickly to another location. And I was introduced to my manager now. And just instantly the like vibe, the intentions, the way that he, you know, thought about artists, the way that he worked with his artists, it was just so much more like, okay, this is someone that, you know, I believe I'm meant to be working with and that I can trust. And we've built a really good relationship over like the past few years. And like I said, he's never rushed me. He's like an incredible manager in his own right and has an incredible company and has worked with like everyone from like Shakira, Enrique Iglesias, like Kali Uchis. Like he is like a gun. He's a beast. And he's just been so supportive from day one and lets me really like lead everything in my career, but is like, you know, a big blessing as well. That's because awesome. I needed the support in LA. I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep going with no reason to be there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get
you know, like I needed that foundation. And that was the first step of building like my team independently, basically.
Tell them how you lost your music.
Huh?
Tell them how you lost your music.
Oh, yeah, I sent him, so on the night that we met each other.
Almost on the podcast officially. Let's go. Yeah.
That's my day-to-day manager, my dad. The night that I met him and his wife, Kristen, who's an amazing stylist, the night that I met them, I sent him my demos that were getting passed around apparently to everyone in the music industry. I sent them to him and he was going to Coachella that weekend, right? And I was just like being patient and waiting for him to listen and see if he because he met me and he'd never heard my music or anything. Like our friend was like, just wanted to do me a favor and introduce me to him. And then it was like the week after Coachella, after the weekend. And I'm like to my dad, like, he hasn't called yet. Like, do you think, you know, maybe he's not interested. Maybe he didn't like the demos. And I was so nervous. And Dad was like to me, just call him. Like, you have his number, don't you? I'm like, call him? I can't call him first. That's so embarrassing. And Dad's like, just call him. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Just give him a call.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit. My dad's so annoying. He always makes me do annoying things. He wants me to embarrass myself and call him. Such a dad thing to say, just call him. I'm like, okay. So I called him and we're in the car together. And it turns out he's like, Jazzy, oh my God, I lost my phone at Coachella. I lost all of your music. I lost your phone number. I lost everything. He's like, all week he's been trying to get back all of his contacts that he lost on his phone. He's been buying a new phone. He literally lost his phone at Coachella.
You're the GOAT.
It was all you.
You're the best.
The mastermind.
You're the greatest of all time.
He's smiling. He's so annoying. He made me call him. I have a theme song for my dad. But anyways.
What is it? What's the theme song?
It's Harry the Hustler. Sometimes he's right,
covering his
but
face.
most times he's wrong. Harry the Hustler. He's got a head shaped like an egg. Harry the Hustler. That's his.
Harry the Hustler, you heard it here first.
That might be my favourite Jazzy K song yet.
Thank you. That's my dad's theme song for when he has his cartoon show. Homer Simpson. Anyways, yeah. So my dad was right about calling him, and he was.
That's a dad instinct moment.
I know.
That is so impressive. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then, so he said, please resend me your music and let me take a listen. And he saved my number. I sent him my music again. And then he called me the day after and he said, let's meet. So we went to meet and I'm waiting for him at a restaurant called Granville in North Hollywood. Not Granville, Sydney. Granville, it's called
Area.
it's a Mediterranean
The area,
restaurant.
Sydney. No, this is the area, LA.
In North Hollywood, a really nice one. And we're waiting for him in like the section where you stand and wait. And obviously I'm really nervous. Like, I'm like so nervous to see what he's gonna think or whatever. And when we landed in LA, just to backtrack a little bit to this trip, when we landed, I was still with the other management team that we ended up leaving and everything. I had a photo come up on my Instagram of a girl I was following, this lady, and she managed Becky G at the time.
No way.
And I followed her and I was just like following her because like I said, I always do research and I like to see what's happening in the industry. And it turns out she's also Australian. I'd never met her before. I've never spoken to her before, nothing. I just follow her. And I've been following her for maybe 2 years at this point. And I looked at my dad when her photo came up and I was like, Dad, I feel like I'm going to meet her. I have a feeling I'm meant to meet her. It was so random. Her photo that she posted just came up. I'm like, I feel like I'm meant to meet her. And then now fast forward to now I'm waiting at this restaurant for my first proper meeting with this manager, this big manager in LA. I'm waiting for him to arrive and waiting for our table to be ready.
Yep.
And this lady walks in, the one that I looked at her photo at the beginning of the trip. I'm like, I feel like I want to meet her. And I looked at her and like, I didn't even say anything to my dad. Like, oh, that's the lady I said. I just walked straight up to her. I'm like, this is meant to be. I'm meant to meet her. I just know it. I walked straight up to her. I introduced myself and she was so sweet. I said, I follow you on Instagram and like I've been watching your journey and you're such a huge inspiration as someone who left Australia and is doing such amazing things in LA. Like you're working with a superstar, Becky G. Like, it's incredible to see. And she was so like excited and happy, and we got along really well. And then my manager now, but like obviously I'm waiting for him to come.
Yeah.
He's not my manager yet. He walked in and he knows her because of the Latin Grammys and like Becky G and Callie, and like they've like, you know, met each other before and crossed paths. So it kind of even like solidified that I was with good people and like that kind of thing. You know, that's like the whole networking thing. And anyways, that lady has ended up become like one of my best friends. And she's been a huge mentor to me, just being a woman in the music industry. And she's changed positions and it's gone through so many like different roles. And now she's like huge at Pretty Little Thing. And it's just like one of those moments of like trusting your gut instinct. And like when something is meant to happen, you know it's going to happen and believe that, you know? And that was such a big blessing, was meeting her. But then the same day, then Yamil comes and we sit down to have a meeting, and he was like so impressed with my singing and my songwriting and my music. And he was like, Jazz, I have like, my wife was listening and I didn't tell her that it was you because I met her as well, but he didn't say this is Jazzy. He just said, what do you think of these demos that I'm playing? And she was screaming and crying like, who is this girl? You need to sign her right now. Not even knowing it was me, the young girl she'd met like a few weeks before. And he was like, he didn't even know if I wanted him to manage me. And I was like nervous about him being my manager. It's like a big deal, you know? And I was like, you know, I'd really love, and my dad kind of like pushed in that moment. He was like, you know, like she would really love for you to look after her. And he was like, would you really? And I was like, yeah. He's like, let's do it. So,
Another clutch dad moment. Let's go on board.
I don't want to give him a big head, but like he kind of like pushes me, you know, in the right direction sometimes.
Harry the hustler. No,
Sometimes he's right, most times he's wrong. No.
He's right when it matters, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. There's other things where he's definitely wrong, and I'm like, see, Dad, I told you. But yeah, when it matters, I definitely have to listen, you know?
That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
Far out. It sounds to me like obviously everything has happened for a reason. It's like God's put this in your path like from day one. It's
Yeah.
like you saw it, you get those instincts, you get those signs like when something is going to happen, like you know it in your heart, you know it in your gut.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And-
like
Oh,
even now
man,
talking
so
about it, I feel like it's not real, but then I'm like, no, that like could really happen. Like, and there's so many moments where like my family can even tell you like, Jazz said that this was gonna happen and it happened. And it's just so crazy to even think like, because at the time it is scary to be like, I believe this is going to happen. It's not an easy thing to say out loud, you know? It's very like, it's like that battle of an artist is constant between like an ego or are you just believing in yourself?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And believing in the plan.
Yep.
Like, it's not coming from an ego place. It's not like because I deserve it or because it's like, I'm so good that I deserve. It's not like that at all. It's like, I just know this is meant for me, you know? Yeah.
Wow.
And now you're on Tuned In with Raph and Nick.
Yeah.
Everything led you to this moment.
Everything was for this moment. Right, yeah.
It's actually crazy to think that if you hadn't performed at that Coldplay concert, like you hadn't had those lyrics ready, you hadn't lost the Pro Tools session, if you hadn't had the courage to just put it out as it is, you hadn't been selected. I wasn't there on the same day that you were performing. I didn't know my cousin Caitlin, like, you know, we weren't cousins. Like,
Imagine we weren't cousins, the whole bloodline was different.
we never got introduced to each other. Like, we'd never be here. We'd never be hearing these stories. It's like, it actually just shows like things are so set in stone already.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about it. You just have to go with the flow.
Exactly.
You have to trust.
You have to trust it, and you have to, because you can mess yourself up by not believing in yourself and being like mean to yourself and saying that you don't deserve it and like, or being like a victim all the time, you know? I meet so many people who are just like always blaming the world on like the reasons why they're not doing things, you know? And it's like, no, like if something's not happening, do something else. You know what I mean? Like anything, do anything, just keep going, don't stop. And like, if you do that, the right things will come to you. You know, it's like that saying, like, I can't remember. I always try to remember the exact saying, but I love it so much. And it's like, when the guy was like lost or like drowning at sea, and then like a boat came.
Yeah, I love this one.
And he was like, no, it's okay, God will save me.
Yeah.
And then something else came and he was like, no, it's okay, God will save me. And then he drowns and then he's like to God,
God, why
didn't
didn't
you
you
save
I
me?
heard that.
And then God says, I sent you a boat and
And a helicopter and a
didn't
rope
go on
and a whale for you to jump on. It's actually,
I'm dying.
It's
But
actually
it's
true.
so true. It's like so true. You can be like your self-sabotage. Like you can just like,
you're actually full right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I heard one of the cameras go. I'm just going to check.
it's
I think
okay.
it's the one in front of me.
You tell them about Ellen DeGeneres?
Okay, wait. Hold on.
I'm done, Dad.
We back because we have to hear about Ellen.
Okay.
Your dad's always right. So.
He's
Yeah.
not always. Sometimes he's right.
Watch this be the clip that blows up. It'll just be,
Most
it'll be the
times
biggest
he's
clip. It'll get like
wrong.
1 million views. And then guess who's right again?
Guess who's right again?
Harry the Hustler.
Harry strikes again.
So annoying.
Okay. Hit us with it.
Sometimes my dad will give me advice and I'm like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, let me ask 3 other people, like my manager and like these other, and they all tell me the same thing my dad said. And I'm like, you're so annoying. You're always right. Anyways, what was I talking about?
Ellen.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So basically, we left working with this management team. Remember how I was telling you we were doing like a trial and it didn't really work out. So we left that situation. And my dad and I like to go to like different places in Hollywood to like hang out or meet people, even if we're not like staying there. So we went to the W Hotel in Hollywood. That was like a place where we love to hang out in the lobby.
Yeah.
And we would just get like a coffee or a tea. And like I'll work on some writing, you know, just a pastime. Like we didn't really have much to do at that time because we had a whole plan and it all just got cancelled.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there on my laptop, and this is prior to meeting my manager, which had just happened a few weeks later. So it's all very close. It's all happened very close to each other. My dad is outside on FaceTime with my sister in Australia. And he's like showing her around and like showing her the outside area and the fireplace. And then there's this like tall man, random man next to my dad. And he's like, what are you doing? You're going to burn your phone. Like, because he's got his phone in the fireplace, like showing her the file. And my dad's like, oh, like, it's my daughter, say hi. And he's like, oh, hi. He's like, where are you from? And then my dad's like, Australia. And, you know, he's asking, what are you doing here from Australia? And my dad says, oh, like, my daughter is an artist and she's a singer-songwriter. We're just trying to get her into the industry. And he goes, okay. And then he goes, where is she? He's like, oh, she's inside right now. And I got like my headphones on. I'm in like my baggy like trackies and I'm writing a song on my laptop. And he goes, well, bring her out in 5 minutes. See those guys I'm with? And there's like this whole group of guys. And he's like, that's like Jamie Foxx's manager. And that's this person. And this guy manages the person.
Can you be my day-to-day manager as well?
Can you be my dad?
Can you adopt me, please?
I'm joking. I love you, Dad. But
I'm dead. No, everyone goes. Anyways, so my dad's like, yeah, sure. He's like, but like wait 5 minutes because they're about to have a break from their meeting.
Yep.
He goes, and bring her out. So then my dad comes into me and he's like, hey Jazz, you know the song Boot Up? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I think her manager is outside and like they want to meet you soon. Like someone's going to introduce you to them. I'm like, oh no, her producer. My dad goes, I think her producer's outside. I'm like, DJ Mustard is outside. And my dad's like, no, not Mustard. He's like, not LMA, the songwriter. I'm like, oh, Joel. And he was like, yeah, okay. So it was Joel's manager or something like that. Like it was, I thought, you know, it was just funny that I thought he was talking about Mustard. And then we go outside after 5 minutes and this gentleman introduces me to like the people he was with. And I'm like, hi, you know. And they go, and one of them stops me and he's like, do you have any music that you can play for us? And at this time, I had only one demo on my phone, and it's my song called You Are, which I wrote to a YouTube beat. And it was like, I'm like, that's all I got. So I'm just going to show him what I got, you know? I gave him my headphones and I let him hear it. And he's like listening. And then he's like, the song finishes and he goes, do you have Instagram? I'm like, yeah. So then I put in my Instagram in his phone. He's on his phone looking at my Instagram and I have like maybe 1,000 followers at this time. It was very embarrassing. And then he was like on his phone, on my phone, repeating the song like again and again. And he's just listening to it. And then he takes the headphones out and he's like to me, have you ever been to Babyface's studio? And I was like, no. And he goes, I want to take you there now. And then my dad looks at him and he's like, don't fuck with my daughter. What do you mean you're going to take her to Babyface's studio? And he goes, no. He's like, when I hear the voice of an angel, it is my duty to do this. He's like, I don't want anything for doing this. He sends my dad, he goes, what's your number? He sends him a text message like this long, basically saying as like proof, I don't want anything for this. You do not owe me anything. I'm doing this because it's my duty to do this. I've been put in this situation, meeting your daughter to do this for her. Like, this is what I'm meant to do. And we're like, okay. So we followed him in our own car to like maybe a few minutes down the road. And we're at Babyface's studio. And we go in through the back. And a man who is named Tony Dixon, he's Babyface's partner, like business partner in this studio. And I meet him and he's like so lovely. He's showing me around the studio. And like, you know, it's LA. Like you don't expect to, like, it's like the land of dreams where anything and everything can happen, but you don't think like anything is gonna, you know what I mean? And even being in that situation, like I'm not thinking like, what am I going to get out of this? Like, I'm just thinking like, I'm so happy to be seeing this right now. Being in a studio this big is like the most exciting thing I've ever seen. And all of the plaques on the wall and like billions of like streams and this, like all of the legends that Babyface has worked with is all over the walls. And I'm just like in heaven. I'm like, what is going on? You know, I'm just like young kid from Australia in this situation, you know? And he's showing me the studio and we're walking through and then we go to the back. And there's like another studio in the back corridor, but it's like a really small one. And he takes me inside to that one. And there's a gentleman sitting on the couch. He gets up, he says hello to me and my dad. And then another gentleman walks out of the recording booth and he's like dressed up in a suit and he looks like a wax figure in real life. Like he just looks so perfect. And at this point, my dad had a thought, like this could be Babyface, you know? But like we don't know. Like we don't know really how he looks. We know his name, that he's a legend. We know the music that he's worked on. Like we know the name, but we don't really know the face that well. Then Tony Dixon is like, Jazzy, this is Kenny. Kenny, this is Jazzy. Me and my dad have no idea that Babyface's name is Kenny. We don't know, right? Apparently this is common knowledge because he's a legend, but we had no idea. And I'm like, oh, it's Kenny. Like, I'm just thinking like, it's Kenny. I have no idea it's Babyface. So I said hi to him. I hugged him. He's like to me, oh, you're from Australia. I'm coming to Australia with my wife. I'm going to be doing my first show there, like soon, in like a few months. This is right before COVID.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, you have to come to like my dad's restaurant when you're in Australia. I had no idea. I thought he was just like the cutest man, like getting into music. I'm thinking he's doing his first show in Australia. Like so cute, you know, like it was just the cutest thing ever. And then Tony's like, oh, like, Jazz, I heard you have a song or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'll sing it for you. He's like, you don't want to play it? I'm like, no, it's okay, I'll sing it. I was kind of like embarrassed that it was written to a YouTube beat and like it wasn't a great, I didn't think it was a great demo. I was like insecure about it. So it's like, I'll just sing it, you know? I think that was better. That was the better option for me. And then I just sang it to them like a cappella. And it's a song about bullying, so it has a very strong message behind it as well.
Sing it for the voice.
And I sang it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So, see, Dad,
This is it.
who invited you?
Sing it.
No. Dad. Oh, God. So awkward.
Do it.
Okay. It's like, I haven't done this in so long, but it's like, you'll try to tell me I'm not right. My hair is a mess, my skin is not as tight. Do you have a second free? I wanna talk to you, it's coming straight from me. Didn't your mother teach you some respect? Like women should be sisters and not threats. No, let me tell you something true. If it's the last thing that I'll ever do, You are, you are, you are, you are beautiful. You are, you are, you are, you are incredible. You try to pull me down with all you say and do, but you only talk to me the way you talk to you. So that's like, yeah.
Is that an exclusive?
Yeah. That song, that was the first song I ever released because that was so
That's-
important to me, like that message.
That's incredible.
Have you performed that
That
before?
is
I have.
incredible.
You have?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have.
Slightly
But-
less special, but that's
That
all
is
right.
incredible.
It is special. So then they were like, okay, we'll be in touch. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't know what they mean. We'll be in touch. What does that mean? Like, what are they? I don't know what they're talking about. And I was just so excited. I was just happy to be there. And then the next day, then we go back to the W Hotel, back to their group of friends. And this man is saying to his friends, guys, Jazzy just sang face to face to Babyface. I was like, no, I didn't. And I like
sang
hit
to
him
Kenny.
on the shoulder. I was like,
Kenny.
She hit him with the shoulder. She goes, I sang to Ken double, man.
yeah, I was like, I sang to Kenny and Tony, and they
Died. They would've
died.
pissed themselves.
They literally fell off their chair laughing at me. Like, yeah, Kenny is Babyface. I was like, are you telling me I met Babyface? And I sang to him, and I had not. Oh my God. I'm embarrassed. I'm happy, but I'm embarrassed that I didn't know. Anyways, then the next day we got the phone call that they wanted me. Babyface wanted me to work in his studio, and I got to write and record a song with their team. And it was like, I got to sign my name on their studio canvas, like right next to Kalani, because Kalani does like all her recording there with an amazing producer named Chris.
What's going on?
And
What is going on
I found Kalani, because it was a new one that they got, and Kalani had already signed it. And Tony was like, you got to sign it, Jazz. Like, you worked in the studio. Like, everyone who works in the studio is going to, like, records here is going to sign it. So then I saw Kalani's name, and I was like, I'm going to go right next to Kalani. Just for fun.
This is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
kind of crazy.
And you're telling me there's still an Ellen story that you have to tell us?
So then that
How
song,
does it get?
This
more
is
insane
tuned
than
in
this?
with Raph and Nick.
What the fuck
This is
going
tuned in with Raph.
Oh my God, I am literally, I'm going to look so shiny in this podcast. I'm sweating.
I'm so sorry. Maybe we should turn down the lights now.
No, it's okay. It's fine. Don't worry. So basically, that
I
song.
jumped. I can't move. The song you just sang for us.
No. So
No, a different
that
song.
song I ended up leaving with the YouTube beat, and I contacted that producer who made the beat, and I left it original because I just felt like it was too special the
Yeah.
way it was to do anything to it. But I wrote a new song with their team. Yeah, so that's
And
a
it's not
different-
released yet.
it's
Is that
not
gonna come out?
Is it ever
will.
gonna come out?
It will definitely come out when the time is right. For sure. Yeah. But
How do you decide when the time is right?
you just know.
It's another gut instinct.
Yeah, you just know. Like,
Wow.
it's like, again, that mix between like what's natural, but then also what's the smart thing to do as well. Yeah. So,
Ellen.
so then I had the song You Are, and the one I sang a cappella to you after like my
Oh,
dad made
I
me
think
sing
I remember
it.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
I do remember
that
it.
song. We actually partnered with a charity that's anti-bullying charity, and based in LA, and like all of the proceeds to that song from that song went to that charity. And it was still very early. Like, it was the first song that I ever released, but it was just something that it was just the way that I wanted to release it. It's the way I always pictured it. It was like a free YouTube beat. It was just like a passion. It was more of a passion thing to really set the ground of who I am as an artist and my message. And yeah, so when we were releasing it, we were sending it out, and this was with the help of my manager. Now I found him, and we're working together on this and that. And he's been sending out the story and the song to all these people in the industry to show, hey, this is Jazzy, she's releasing this song.
Yep.
He's doing his thing. And then the Ellen show wanted to bring me on. And
Because why not? You know, like
Yeah.
just that happens to me all the time as well.
They-
Ellen's just like, "Hey, you free?" I'm like, "Sorry, not in the country right now."
I'm just
So
not
like,
available.
fucking
Let me
fair
check
enough. Yeah,
my
I get it.
calendar. Yeah, so they wanted to bring me on, and unfortunately, this happened right before the lockdown. So we just missed, like, there was about a 90% chance that I was gonna go on. It wasn't like we were scheduling it and I was in, but there was like that back and forth, and it was like we're basically just getting the plan ready for the right episode coming up. So we knew we were getting ready the dates that we needed to be there, this and that, because we were about to leave LA at the time. We weren't even gonna, like, if they said yes, we would have had to extend our trip.
Yeah.
You know, so we were kind of planning those dates, and then COVID came, and then everything, it kind of felt like a fever dream. Like things slowly in LA were like, first it was like, oh, have you heard about this virus, COVID? That was like when we first got there. And then all of a sudden it was like, everyone's wearing masks. And then it was like, we got a letter to our Airbnb, like all of the restaurants are going to close down from tomorrow. Everything's going to be shut. Nothing is going to be open. And me and my dad are like, my mom's calling me like, you better not get stuck in LA. I'm going to kill you. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh shit, we better go home. So we went home 2 weeks earlier than we were supposed to. And obviously all production shut down. They ended up shooting episodes from home from then on. And everything was just like backlogged. So there was just no chance to... Yeah, but it's okay. Like, you know, like it's exciting that they were even interested, and it motivates me 100%. That it was like such a beautiful thing that they even listened and that they even like took it into consideration. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, and it may be like a longer journey, trusting your gut instinct, but it's a better one, you know?
My God, I think that's like the most insane sequence of stories we've ever had. Actually, I've ever heard, to be honest, not just on the podcast, like in my life.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect this. Like when when we first sat down with you, I was like, I know she's got some good stories.
She's got something.
I know she's got some good stories that's beyond belief.
It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's just like, you know, it happens. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, seriously.
And congratulations to you too, uncle. Like, honestly, like, it's your daughter, like, you
should be very proud. You raised this beautiful girl, and she's what a
That's so
She
sweet.
first told me she was in LA. I used to give her a dog man. I said, look at the dog man, American. I said, as close as you get to LA, she used to cry. She was 17. I used to make her cry. Then she became a singing waitress. So she was a singing waitress in a restaurant. And that's what gave me confidence. Singing live at the restaurant for 3-4 years. Every weekend.
I think longer.
What restaurant, uncle?
So the larger. It was the original one in Reevesby, which is not there anymore.
And we made her sing live.
That's like, it's like every weekend was a different crowd. And you never know, like some weekends, like, you know, maybe they're all more like in their own world and they're not really listening. And other weekends, everyone's up dancing, and I'd still have to sing. Like no matter what, whether they're listening, not listening, it's empty, it's full. It's like the worst crowd, it's the best crowd.
Yes.
Every weekend I was singing.
That's right.
So
the best crowd was the ones who were quiet were the best crowd. They would come up to her after the and oh my God, you were amazing, you gave us goosebumps. But
So
she thought they weren't clapping for her. But they're the ones who were more interested.
So then you realize, like, after time, I realize it gets you to push through the nervousness of like, I'm nervous, but I can still do it. And you kind of get this mindset of like, I mean, if it comes out bad, it comes out bad. Like, who cares? You know, you're still singing, and like the point of singing is to connect. It's not just about being pitch perfect and being the best vocal performance ever every single time. That's not, like, I want to be an amazing vocalist and I want to get better every day, and I always practice. But my goal before any show, before any performance, is it's like, God, please just connect to people. Just with the words I speak, the stories I tell, I just want it to connect with people. And whether that means half the time, maybe like I went a bit sharp here or I went a bit flat here, it doesn't bother me. You know, I'll fix it eventually, but the point and the purpose is to connect. And that's always the number one thing with music. And singing at the restaurant every weekend gave me the confidence to be able to get to that mindset of like,
I'm speechless. I don't even have anything to follow that with. I'm not even joking. I don't even want to do the rapids.
No, I don't.
That was so good.
No, seriously, I don't. No, I don't. I don't see a need.
I don't think we can actually do that. It would ruin it.
I feel like it'll dilute it.
Yeah.
dilute the
No, this
podcast.
is
What's
like,
that?
it's been so valuable. Every single second
Oh,
of this
that's really sweet.
talk has been
Thank
like
you.
amazing.
Dad, who invited you?
I know, just wanted to say hi to the cameras.
Anyway.
I want you to see
We
me now
invited
and
him.
see me after
I will
4
back
months.
you. I will back you every day of the week. We invited you here, and you are welcome back
Thanks,
here
man.
anytime you want.
It's good.
Oh my
I'm done with my
god!
job.
I'm shocked. I
These are
can't-
the best stories I've ever heard, like in my life, ever.
Yeah. I mean, if we keep going, we'll be here until tomorrow morning. So
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I feel actually bad to have taken up so much of
no,
your time.
it's fine.
But just
Don't be
know
silly.
that we're not done, and we're 100% gonna invite you back on if you
You're
if,
so
if you're
cute.
brave enough to come back on here.
Of course, anytime. Thank you for having me.
That was
That's so sweet.
amazing. I don't know how to react. I don't know how to finish.
I'm actually speechless.
promo. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want.
This
Just
is
run
your
with
show
it.
now. Congratulations. Just do whatever you want.
This
You
is
wrap
the
it up.
Jazzy-verse.
We're done. Yep, this
Yeah.
is
This
Jazzy's
is the
world now.
Jazzy-verse.
This is no longer.
Tell them what they have to do if anyone wants to be an artist goes to LA. Go for 3 months, not 3 weeks.
Okay, okay. If you want to go to LA as an artist, I can only give you advice off of what I have experienced. I don't speak for everyone, but I would say go knowing what you want, knowing the type of artist you want to be, and being really, really strong on the things that you want as an artist so that you don't get too confused. Because a lot of opportunities will come when you're there, and you want to be making sure that you're saying yes to the right things, not just yes to everything. And then on top of that, don't be afraid and try to go with or be around people that you trust, and don't just go for 2 weeks. Try to go for a few months. I know it's not easy, but do what you have to do and just believe in yourself and hustle. You have to hustle. I even met a female director on my last trip in LA right before we left, and I forgot her name. I can't remember her name, but she was incredible, and she's Australian, and she's a very successful filmmaker now. And she said the same thing to me. She goes, don't stop hustling. Tell everyone what you do. Tell everyone who you are, and don't be afraid to be confident. And I really appreciated that.
She went to LA when she was 19.
Yes, she went to LA when she was 19.
She hasn't left LA, and now she's an award-winning director, movie
Yeah.
director.
So she said it really does take being like your own champion and taking control. So don't be afraid.
You played with Chris Martin. You already made it.
You're on tuned
and
in.
you
You've made it.
bring
Trust
it
me.
up.
You're
You're
on
on
the best
tuned in.
podcast in the world.
I'm on the #1 podcast in the world, and I played with Chris Martin. So there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we made it.
Jazzy, some promo.
Yeah.
Look
you
down the
tell-
barrel.
Tell the people what
Okay.
you want them to know.
Guys, listen, if you want to join the Jazzyverse, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's Jazzy K, and all of my music is out on all streaming platforms, Jazzy K, and this is just the beginning. There's so much more music coming, so you will be well fed. Don't worry. Okay?
We'll be well fed.
You will
I
be
love
well
it.
fed.
Jazz, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I
No,
cannot thank you
thank
enough
you.
for coming on.
Oh,
Shout out to the
well.
Lab Studio. Thank you again. Shout out to
Yes.
Jazzy K. Shout out to
Shout out
Raph
to Amul.
Div. Shout out to
Amul.
Amul Harry.
Papa Bear. Thanks,
What a
guys.
podcast.
You guys, far out.
Thank you so much. Thank you.